This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 516 for the week of Monday, April 23rd, 2018. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
And we are rounding off the Whole Cake Island arc with our very special guest, as always, translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, Stephen Paul's with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, I am here.
Can you believe I got it this, like, exactly on the nose? I said 9:01 and it's 9:02. Anyway, we
could go back. We could go back next week. You never know.
We also have our contributor Jill with us. How's it going, Jill?
Pretty good. Excited that Brule is now best girl.
What was she to you before? I thought she was pretty high in the books for you.
She was branch girl.
She was branch girl.
We also have from the Vintage Anime Podcast, we have Dennis joining us again. How's it going, Dennis?
Hello there, it's going all right. I just came back from a NorCal trip where I also got to stop by the Viz offices and did double duty being on the Shonen Jump podcast.
Oh, you're on the Shonen Jump podcast this week.
We were just taking over the Shonen Jump podcast.
Yeah, we were on, how many? I guess that was the beginning of the year at this point.
Well, last week there was Kelly and William and Greg were on their
Jeff
talking about the exhibition. Yeah, and Jeff. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have to listen to that. I haven't listened to that yet.
Yeah, it was good.
Good. I have more podcasts to listen to. It's always good to have. Yeah. So this is a pretty big week in the manga. Can we officially call this the end of Whole Cake Island? They officially sailed away. That's been our descriptor of end of arc. Wrap-ups generally. I don't know how you can
walk it back after seeing Zeph and Sanji, cross section on the last page.
Hey, spoiler alert! We're not even in the manga yet.
I mean, but there was also that chapter with Doflamingo and encaged on a Navy ship, and that's not technically the Dressrosa arc anymore, but Doflamingo's still in it.
So next week is Golden Week. We're going to... Actually, Stephen, let me throw this to you. What are we going to be doing next week on the podcast since all of Shonen Jump is off next week?
All of Shonen Jump will be off, and we recently covered the latest volume in all of its SBS. So that means we are going to get to Color Walk 8 Wolf. And we'll talk about that. We will mention all of the great spreads that are contained within it. And go over, the interview with the, I believe this one is with Kazuya Terada. That should be interesting. And just talk about what a cool book it is, because they always are.
And if you guys are up for it, I mean, since we're actually done with Whole Cake Island, we did a Whole Cake Island recap, maybe a month or two ago now. Maybe just a kind of informal, this is what I thought of this arc right after it's over. Immediate, some immediate thoughts from us, because I know people like hearing those things.
And a triple anime recap.
And we do have a triple anime recap. So there's a lot to do next week, but this week we have our manga recap for chapter 902 with probably one of my favorite titles, End Roll. I thought very clever. I like it.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that. There's a color spread and a cover page of Shonen Jump we're going to get into with that. But before we get into the show, I also want to mention you could support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. I know I said last week we'd be having some cool new stuff for this week, but this week is when the cool new stuff will be coming. We have at least 2 or 3 exclusive episodes coming for you. We have a new episode of Steve and Alex Eats One Piece. That'll all be coming by the end of the month. So please subscribe if you have not. There's also a little bit of One Piece news going around, and it is pertinent to us in the United States. Dennis, can you take that away?
Oh, yeah. Starting today, we have the brand new UT Uniqlo line for the Weekly Shonen Jump 50th anniversary. So right now for this week, it's just for kid sizes. So any younger podcast fans out there or parents who are also listeners and have kids of their own are welcome to go to their local Uniqlo or check online if they're available yet. I think they might be available tomorrow. I haven't been able to check yet. But if you check online on April 23rd, there are a bunch of shirts. There's a couple of One Piece shirts that are out. There's the one with like pink Chopper. There's Luffy doing, I believe it is.
He's doing the Gatling from Lucci, I think.
Yeah, that one. I want to say it's Jet Gatling.
Yeah.
There's a nice one with the color spread of all of the Straw Hats as kids as well.
And adults.
And adults, yeah.
Or I'm teenage, whatever, adolescent, wherever they are.
Youngins.
Now.
They're young. They're is hard to see on the very
young adults, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the adult shirts start getting released on May 7th. And you can get a bunch of things like the Jump logo, a couple of Dragon Ball shirts as well. Yamcha, dead on the floor where it says Yamcha-san. But for those who want the actual One Piece shirts, they're actually closer to the end of the month. You want to check them out on May 28th. And those are like the Sign of Friendship one, Luffy going to Gear 2nd, our adorable Fat Chopper, the Sabo Ace Luffy title screen.
When he says Fat Chopper, he means original design Chopper.
Yeah.
And for those who want to have Bleach shirts, those are afterward. You can get all those. I know our core Bleach audience. Also, yeah.
I call him Square Chopper.
Square Chopper.
I love that design. These are definitely my favorite Uniqlo One Piece shirts to come out, from what I've seen. That Gear 2nd shirt, I feel like I need to get. And a bunch of the Shonen Jump ones are really cool. I know, Steven, you've bragged about it before in the podcast, but your Shonen Jump shirt.
Yeah, that was a really good one that Viz was selling at cons like 2 years ago or so.
Yeah. I missed out on that shirt.
It's a real good one. I like, it's basically the same official Japanese logo as the one on this Uniqlo shirt, but that one was like a baseball tee with like, the colored sleeves, and it just looks real sharp.
Yeah. This one is a t-shirt, but it's the same kind of thing. I'm probably going to pick up a few of these. Anyway, I think that's enough advertising for Uniqlo without any sort of contribution toward us. Why don't we get into our manga chapter 902? You guys ready?
Yeah.
Why don't we?
This is the manga recap for chapter 902, End Roll. Ed, what's going on the cover of Shonen Jump this week?
Cover of Jump, it's crossplay. That's weird. But it's Jump characters dressed up as other characters in Jump. So Luffy is dressed up as Deku from My Hero Academia, and I think the guy dressed up as Luffy is Clover from Black Clover.
Asta from Black Clover.
I was gonna say, is it like Nisekoi from Nisekoi that he's dressed up?
I was guessing.
Yeah, I knew you were. Black Clover is a popular series. I
think Sam does reviews for the anime on ANN, right?
Yeah, and it's on Toonami, I believe. It's getting pushed back on Toonami.
Hey, I mean, My Hero Academia is coming to Toonami. That's exciting.
Yeah, so One Piece is the only thing. Yeah,
so Luffy's not dressed. Luffy's not dressed up as My Hero Academia from My Hero Academia.
No, he's dressed up as Boku My No Hero Academia.
Yes,
from Boku My Hero.
Always be my
Boku.
Yeah, that's his name, Boku.
Luffy will always be my Boku.
Well, this is You want to talk about the author comments this week as well?
That was a good one.
I did not see it. Can you surprise me?
Oh, there it goes again. Let's scroll all the way to the back of Jump now. There we go. I smile every day as my smart speaker tells me, with no emotion, looking good again today. I think this is alternate lyrics from Park Life by Blur, if anyone knows that song.
Deep cut. I like Blur, and I have no idea what song you're talking about. Yes. Anyway, I have to tell my smart speaker to do this for me.
What's a smart speaker, like an Alexa?
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't gonna say it, so
don't say the name.
I didn't want people's Alexas to go off suddenly.
The amount of people who put personal surveillance devices in their own homes is astonishing to me.
Well,
Alexa,
what about
buy One Piece Volume 1.
What about their Hey Googles or their Hey Siris?
No, it's okay Google.
Okay, Google.
We've already destroyed every.
I gotta bring headphones.
Heavy sigh. Okay, Google.
Okay, from personal surveillance to punching a bunch of desserts. There's no transition here. Ed, what's going on in the color spread this week?
The Nana Sweets Busters. They got the packs and everything.
I wasn't even thinking of it like that, but yeah.
Dude,
Totally is.
That's the
They have proton
reference.
packs.
Yeah, I don't
How
know
could you
why
not
I
be
didn't.
thinking of it.
I don't know. I didn't look at this color spread very hard this week. Okay, I'll be
Well,
honest.
well then let's all judge Zach for a couple minutes.
Isn't that what
Oh,
every
dang.
podcast is?
Judging.
Oh man,
I brought this up. I brought this up
Yeah.
earlier, but is you think the trap would just be Luffy's stomach?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
I
Chopper.
mean,
It's sweet.
He's eating something.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
in case
yeah.
in case you can't tell what's going on here, Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp are all dressed as Ghostbusters analogs, busting the shit out of Candy and Cookie ghosts, with Cookie, the rest of the crew running around like they're made out of their little gingerbread men versions of the rest of the crew. Missing, of course, is Jinbei, so I guess he's not officially on the crew yet.
We were
Okay.
waiting for a color spread to confirm that, and lo and behold, here it is.
Zoro, Cookie Zoro is upside down in the clutches of this monster.
And that's
But being
about
saved
the
by Luffy, though.
Yeah,
that's about the expression I would expect out of Zoro in any circumstance.
I
they all,
love how,
all say
all
all
have the same expression.
except for Brooke though. Brooke is a skullhead.
But I
I like
assume
how
it's,
I like how you worked in for these slime guys on the floor that they're basically just those aliens from Sesame Street that go yip 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 all the time.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
basically what they are.
they're that, or I feel like there were monsters in Calvin and Hobbes that look kind of like that.
But the one in the foreground has arms like Slimer.
Yeah, that is true. He does.
But he's on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper are the ones that aren't turned into like haunted crackers or whatever?
Yeah. It's a good
Why
question.
are they the busters?
I don't know. They just happened to be
Well,
at the
Usopp
wrong
and
place at the
Chopper
right
are-
time.
Usopp and Chopper are the most likely to be susceptible to like ghost scares.
Yeah.
Luffy kind of plays along with that. So
I don't know. Is
I like
there?
how Robin is leading them away.
Right.
Sanji notices.
My guess was because those three are the ones that raid the fridge all the time, so
Maybe, yeah.
they would have experience with defeating food.
Good point.
But
yeah.
that one purple lady is Tara. She's got like a cream sword.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other comments on the color spread?
It's a good one.
Okay.
It is. Looking
very
forward
fun.
to this.
It's a good way to round out this arc, I think. One
Yeah.
last candy
Appropriate.
flavored.
Get
Yeah,
your swole gingerbread arms.
After this, I'll be ready for some savory food or spicy food. Let's move on to the chapter, Ed.
Okay, here we go. So we flash back to Zoe back when the gas was clearing there, and he says, "My name is Pedro. Please help. See to them. The world awaits them. They must be saved. They must not die under any circumstances."
I hope that's not the last time we hear Ed do his Antonio bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I kind of do just because of what it means. But we'll continue.
Well, we'll get there. Yes.
Maybe he has a brother who has the same accent, though. You know, that's fine.
So Sanji is standing on the deck of the Sunny, looking off into the distance. He says, "So, Pedro's dead," and it's the silence of him staring off into the sea. There's a completely cloudless sky. There's waves in the foreground, but the Sunny is sort of tiny in the background. It's a interesting perspective.
I was a bit curious originally as to why Oda chose this particular scene for the flashback. Is there something to do with just as the first thing you see in the chapter? Like, does this mean like Cat, Viper, and Dogster? Like, did they have something to do with this chapter? And I think it's just basically this is Sanji's lasting image of Pedro because that was the first place that they ever met, and that's obviously a very dramatic moment. So,
Sanji's recollection of Pedro.
right.
So.
Right.
But he's being told this, and he sort of continues his comment. He says, "All because he came to help get me back." And Kara comes up behind him and pats him on the head. It's the cutest damn thing. I don't know. I don't know. I got a feeling when I read that. It's such a cute little panel there.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Especially that it's like this is what kind of like a pet would view as, oh, this is how you show emotion. This is how you care for someone.
Carrot.
Them on the head.
So Carrot's role on the crew is emotional support animal.
Yeah.
Official.
Oh God! Now she can join. She has a role.
You just have to put a little backpack on her, and then she's good.
Yeah, that says service animal.
Yeah.
Sir, is that mink allowed in the? Is a service animal? Oh, I can bring it in.
Can you bring
More
that
like
in the
fan
cabin?
service animal.
Oh God. I'll write it down, but I'm not going to enjoy writing it down.
He's not happy about it. But she continues to Sanji. It's okay, Sanji. Pedro chose to do that of his own free will. Don't feel responsible for it. And she closes her eyes and smiles at him like that. It says, Utia and your friends saved Mokomodukdom. He came here to repay that favor. If Pedro hadn't been here, then everyone would have died back there. So please just tell him thank you. And she breaks down into tears.
I really want to just mention this one panel on the bottom right. It's how would you describe that? Alex, you're our resident artist, kind of like how it's white in all around the borders there.
I don't know if that has any specific
term,
like name. Yeah, I don't think there's a specific term for it, but
it might have just been to save time.
I feel like it's could be like, I feel like in a filter it's like vignette or something.
Yeah,
right, but
it's a vignetting effect.
Yeah.
But
I like that
I
for this scene. It kind of makes it a little more impactful or solitary.
Yeah, I feel like if this was a draft or something like that, there'd be like the silhouette of her rubbing his head. But since that is just, you can't really get that across. It wasn't silhouetted. It's just a different way to frame the shot.
Yeah. And this is obviously a scene that it's all about the words that are being exchanged. Like the sense of place is not important and would kind of only clash with what you're supposed to feel when you get it. So it's very minimalistic.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the physical aspect of this scene, Sanji's staring off into space. Carrot comes up behind him, pats him on the head, and she's sort of smiling. He turns around to look at her, and then she starts to cry. Says, just tell him thank you. This was for the best. And she sort of, he pats her on the head, returning the favor. He says, I know what kind of man he was. And we get the beginning of a song, but first we see the sort of Carrot's sort of loud. She sort of lets it out, cry over the her sound effects are arcing over the ship as Luffy. I guess it's sort of later on. It's implied, I think, that Chopper is taking care of Luffy on the deck as Nami and Brook notice things starting to come out of the sky. They're standing up on the deck in the background.
Steven,
I wanted.
Go ahead, Alex.
I wanted to point out that the chapter title "End Roll," an end roll is also like the ending credits of like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a pretty appropriate way to read this chapter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons I really like that title too. Steven, you could start reading on that page with the
okay. Yeah, so just I think most people understand like what this actually is, or have seen these before, but I think maybe people who have only jumped into the series in the last few years may not realize that basically at the end of every arc, Oda writes what is basically, it's like a lyrical poem that kind of it expresses imagery about the arc that has just concluded and kind of leaves you with a lasting a lasting poetic image of the story that you've just finished. And he'll employ metaphors and stuff. Like if you remember at the end of Fishman arc, there was the whole thing about the what do they call it? Is it a catheter? Like the blood tube that goes from Jinbei's arm to Luffy's arm, symbolizing like a path to understanding between the fisherman and the surface, and things like that. And
Ivy, I think.
Yeah, the ID. Thank you.
We put it in a less poetic way and said, "Give me your effing blood," because that
Yeah,
was
that
tight.
was
Yeah.
that was that one, and yeah, and you may remember from Dressrosa, there was like the whole thing about the
Oh
you
yeah.
know, the gyrations of the women and the smells of the food, and
You know what? I don't think I ever
the-
noticed this recurring pattern, or I forgot about it because the arcs
Yeah.
have been so long.
well,
It's like
I always
the end of every season of The Wire has one of these.
yeah,
Except instead of a song, it's a poem. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and so like I always remember them, of course, because they're always a little trickier to work on, but they're a little, you know, kind of meatier. They're a little bit more intellectual than the usual, you know, just sort of horsing around dialogue. And so this is the one that he did for Whole Cake Island, and he did write it in the form of a song because there were you know, musical you know, little notation things in the bubbles. But it was you'll notice it is not quite as sing-songy as Big Mom's song, but I still kind of wanted to live up to that, you know, again, the spirit of the arc, and it being so musical in nature, and so that is what this stuff is. So I got these pages, and it begins soul pocus, the words of the soul. Onward we go by breeze and by brine, minds heavy with thoughts of the bloody seas behind. And I'm going to pause in between these. So on the deck, everyone's kind of sitting there, I guess, unwinding from the hell they've just been through. And Nami notices that cotton candy snow is coming down, and Brooke is eating some as he pilots the ship.
Not to interrupt, but we saw this coming into Whole Cake Island, right? It was the cotton candy snow. I think that was like the first thing we saw coming in.
It definitely happened at some point.
And also, I think Sam mentioned, when did Brooke have a tongue, and has he ever had a tongue in the past?
Oh, he's always had a tongue.
Okay. What's next?
So yes, they seem to take this as a sign that the exit of the territory. So yeah, I guess that would be a good bookend, that if they saw it coming in, they're going to see it coming out. And back on Toto Land itself, the homies are celebrating that Mama is back to her old self. They're all lively once again, and the song continues. Though sugar is hardly its intended focus, the enchanted flowers and trees sing the sweetest soul pocus. Greedy Mama's false plot was both devious and smart, matching fairy tale prince and princess fair in a sham that was meant to keep them apart. When alluring nectar has its own bold mind, sweet sentiment can be so bad for the heart. And over those panels, we see someone back on the island is wondering what happened with Straw Hat, but they're gone by now. And we see Sanji, who is, he's still patting Carrot on the head and kind of comforting her, cross with a shot of Pudding, who is still looks to be still in that alleyway on Cacao Island. And she is looking at what appears to be a little bit of film and crying. And the song continues. A death-defying flight ensues, love lost in the confusion. Take your candy coming in and leave by execution. The fun is finding out who wins at the grand resolution. And then we see the battle going on between the Sun Pirates and all of Big Mama's fleet. And you can see Germa's castle in the background as well. And Jinbei is at the bottom panel, is up front and center. And he's telling the rest of them, hold fast. Once Luffy's crew leaves the territory, we're done here. And the battle is still raging onward. And we can go to the next page.
Yeah.
So as the battle rages on Cacao Island, many are yelling out, "Where's the Straw Hat crew? We've lost them! Hey, look out for that wave!" And meanwhile, in the alley, Rabian and Nitro are floating towards Pudding, who is in tears, and she begins to go through her memories of this past arc, and some familiar flashbacks. Just like always, Pudding, use your incredible acting to get him head over heels. It'll be a piece of cake, Mama, she says. And she says, Big Mom tells her, you're just like my charming little doll. My little dolly to use as I like. And she reminds Big Mom that I'm not your doll. As we see a panel of that famous panel of her.
I think
in the
this
ring
is all
picking this.
inner dialogue. Like,
It
I'm
is.
not
It
your
is.
doll.
That one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. that one in particular. And flashing back to when Sanji proposes to her with his swollen face. And when he says, let's get married, of course, this is, yes, what her inner thoughts are during this time. When he says, let's get married, she's thinking, don't be stupid. You look like the others when you learn what I really am. And then we see her doing her Sanji's proposal imitation to the delight of Rabian and Nitro. And she says, or she thinks to herself, no one will ever fall in love with me. I'm a hideous, monstrous freak. Then we smash cut to the wedding itself when he lifts the veil to kiss the bride, and he surprises her with his "what a beautiful eye" comment, and she continues to cry at the thoughts of these memories. And then more memories, of course, when Sanji starts cooking the cake, and she becomes Love Cook Pudding. And we get that line that Sanji says to her before she requests of him one thing. He says, if somebody had to play the role of my fiance, I'm glad it was you. And Sanji, dear, I have a request. And I guess we're finally going to get to see what that request was.
I love this page, like especially I think that middle row on the left side where just the transition and the way he frames the face directly in the middle of each panel, where it's like evil, kind of evil Pudding, where it's like it's really a front to kind of hide her own like self-loathing, like, haha, wait till you see how ugly I am, you're gonna hate me now. And then Sanji's reaction, and then her like just coming up short, and then mixed with her crying in the aftermath when she is thinking back on this stuff. Like, it's just a really effective, I think, example of the evolution of how she has felt over this arc.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. The anime I think just covered this scene, and they have a little bit of extra filler where it's actually quite heartbreaking, where Pudding is being ridiculed as a child about her third eye. And it's funny that you brought up the front, like how this is like, quote unquote, evil Pudding is the actual front.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty sad stuff.
Well, it's all about the damage that Mama has done to her family. Should
Mm-hmm.
see more of that later on in the chapter.
Dennis, can you read this silent film for us?
Sure. And we actually changed to where all the panels on this particular page look like a film strip, and complete with like silent film, almost like word screens, so you can kind of read what the dialogue is going on. I mean, it's manga. You're going to
And it even makes the sound effect. That's the old
the
film
projector.
strip.
Film,
Yeah.
the old
Yeah, I love
projector,
that.
Yeah. As
So
someone
good.
who worked in a movie theater for many years, it's playing in my head right now.
Like, I don't know if you could even do this joke in 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Oda's an old guy at this point. He's like 43, and
It's not that.
yeah,
Don't call
No,
43-year-olds that
no
old.
younger artist would write this joke. I don't know if any younger artist than him would make this. Anyway,
I also love the typeface and how it was put together in Shonen Jump. It looks.
I
it looks great.
I left a note in my script that was like, use a silent film font on this, because it's like so perfect the way that he executed it.
Mm-hmm. And we get the viewpoint kind of from Pudding's, like above Pudding's viewpoint, and like next to her, we have her say just one last thing before you go, and then she moves in to remove the cigarette and just kind of flicks it away, and we have her move in just a little bit closer to Sanji before the cigarette even hits the ground. Smash cut in between those frames of the panel to her crying again. And we have I guess it's kind of a sputtering of the film, because we have a sound effect happening?
That would be the cigarette itself, because it's sort of
Oh, okay. The cigarette
smoldering
itself
on the
putting
ground.
out.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, she goes in a little closer. We don't actually see any image of it on the film, but as we go to the next frame, she pulls back and says thank you and goodbye, and then we get the film strip getting pulled from Sanji's memories. And on to the next page, as Pudding runs away, Sanji, confused as to what just happened, goes, Pudding, wait, well, what was it? What was your last request? And thus ending Pudding's little flashback. And we see her still crying in that alleyway with the, I guess, kind of stolen memory from Sanji that she's holding in her hands.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta wonder how many people read this, and this went over their head the first time. It's more subtle than I think shonen manga usually gets.
Yeah, I want to save discussion about the scene toward. I feel like it deserves a bigger discussion than.
Okay.
I want to cut too much into the podcast. Dennis, continue.
Okay, and we still get all the yelling and commotion going on. There's some stuff getting yelled over like loudspeaker. It appears we still got some sea slugs at the edge of the territory, and we're responding back like, what is it now? They're alerting us of passage that the Straw Hat ship has just left the territory. And apparently hearing that over the loudspeakers, looks like Germa 66 is trying to pull away and retreat. See all the commotion from them trying to gather their forces back together.
They're more resilient than I give them credit for.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Science.
Yeah. And as Germa is retreating, it goes right into the mirror world, where Katakuri is still laying down and Brule is sitting next to him. And she says, didn't want to see you lose lying on your back like this, as she puts a hat on his to hide his mouth because not everyone knows about it.
Takes it
off.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was Luffy's disguise hat.
Manga reads right to left. That. Very important.
Wow.
Thanks.
Was that too low?
No, that's true. I don't know what I was doing there. I guess I should stop reading English books.
I've been trying to tell you that.
It's a good solution. I approve of that.
Yeah. I should just read Hebrew. Clearly, that'll just help Japanese.
Hebrew, Japanese, stick to those. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. No English.
So she takes the hat off his mouth and says, why did you switch to your back? Didn't you fall face first originally? And Katakuri is just pretending that don't know what happened there. But he says that when it comes to his life, nothing. It was nothing but a lie. That he never put his back on the ground. Referencing, of course, that throughout the arc, all the other siblings were like, "Oh, Katakuri is the perfect brother. His back never touches the ground. He's the strongest." But Brule here, she says, "Yes, I know. I saw you through the mirror, and quite possibly the cutest panel Katakuri has ever been in. He just boom, and blushing, and embarrassment, and it's adorable." And she's talking about how he played the perfect brother, perfect man for their sake. And then we go into this flashback of Katakuri, Perospero, Oven, guy I can't remember the name of.
Daifuku.
There we go.
Daifuku.
Genie Weenie.
Yes, Genie Weenie. I'll remember that better.
Genie Weenie is the name of his genie, so his name's technically still Daifuku. So I can't help you there.
Okay. As Katakuri is eating the donut, saying, they're telling him, oh, well, you could, make friends if you covered your mouth. And he said, forget it. This is me. If they'll laugh, I'll beat them up. Because, as little kids do, they just want to be themselves. And all of them are running away, saying, here comes the pelican eel, which is apparently his childhood nickname. Great.
We learned that now a bunch of chapters ago at this point.
Yeah, it's not a great childhood nickname.
No.
Not fun. And we go to another part of the flashback where it says Brule's been hurt bad, and Katakuri doesn't know what's happened there. But it turns out that the guys that he beat up before, instead of getting their revenge on him because he was too strong, instead pretty severely cut poor Brule's face. This is a child, and they really disfigured her.
Yeah, where is Mama? Mama is not around
Yeah,
at all.
well-
She's off being a pirate.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
they're all the kids. It's very confusing how anarchical things are at this early stage in Big Mom's family. They're like some of the
Yeah.
oldest siblings, right? So
Oh yeah, these are.
Yeah, they are the oldest.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah.
are
There's
super early on. I
Perispero.
think up to then, those are the only siblings. They're the ones that are shown. So
Well,
she might not be on the
Compo.
island or might not care.
No, Compote's not there. Yeah, Compote has been just so pushed to the side in this entire arc.
despite being the first daughter. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Perispero was the first sibling. I think he's the
So is he
oldest.
like the babysitter in these? Like,
Yeah, pretty much. Like those are the four oldest boys.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably like a year or two older. Like, who knows? We're getting back into this topic, which has not been solved, and I doubt will ever be solved.
No.
Yeah. I like baby Perispero. They're like Muppet babies, but they're Charlotte babies.
I like all of them as at this age. I would have.
Yeah.
This is we get asked what spin-offs would you watch. I would watch these misadventures here.
Yeah.
We go to the next page as Baby Brule is on a stretcher, saying, "Don't worry, it doesn't hurt. Look, if you ask me, you're fine the way you are." And Katakuri, beside himself, doesn't even know what to say to her, but knows that it's his fault that this happened to her, and that he was being soft and naive. So now, in a somewhat familiar getup, covering his face, he confronts what I assume are the ruffians that did this to Brule.
Yeah, he's trying to apologize. Yeah.
He's not trying to apologize.
Well, the guy is.
The guy
Look,
is.
sorry.
Oh, well, I don't even know how legit that apology is. He doesn't look...
Sorry, I slashed your child sister's face open. My bad.
My bad. This guy reminds me of Blue Jam in every way. Anyway, that is a really cool and menacing picture of young Katakuri there silhouetted. And he says he'll show no weakness. He comes in with a trident. This looks like an actual trident. Is this the same thing? Didn't he have something similar to this in the...
Yeah, it's
It was made out of mochi, right?
Right, but do we know if that's the
his,
case here? What's that called?
I don't
again?
know.
Oh, mole.
Maul, his spear.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he's on the ground, remembering all this, and says, Brule, and asks, did Straw Hat, obviously asking whether he got away, but Brule finishes his sentence, a la Katakuri and Joseph Joestar. If I tell you, you're gonna think, oh, good. So he says, oh, you could see the future too, I guess. And she said that he left the territory already, and I'll never forgive him after what he did to you, but Katakuri doesn't seem to mind. He smiles and laughs it off, and she says, see, I knew it. And
Love that. Very, very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we see the explosions. We get out of Mirror World and see the explosions happening around Cacao Island in this massive battle. And as Mama is on the horizon, as the Soul Pocus song starts again, such self-centered words. Dennis, finish us. Or not finish us. Continue us.
Yeah, second verse, different than the first. When tempted by the scent of that sweet cake slice, the first step is to ask about the nature of its price. And in those few lines, we get to see the people who are putting up resistance against Big Mom's pirates. We get the main players for Germa 66, along with Jimbei, Aladdin, and Praline. And we continue with the Soul Pocus song. For this is not the good kind of surprise. Will you suffer her trick or hand over your treats? Sweets can also be so very bad for the soul. Soul Pocus, our mama so material. Will it be years off your life or your life itself as mama comes in with a crash into the battlefield on the ocean? And coming with one of her favorite lines, life or death, as the Soul Pocus song ends. Soul Pocus, the song of our queen.
It's a slightly different. Usually it's what is it? this or life or this.
Life or leave.
Life or there's several
Life or
different
treat.
iterations.
Yeah, yeah.
Treat. Oh yeah, there you go.
This is the most, I guess, grim kind of version of this question that we've seen so far in the arc, and boy is it a menacing panel there at the end.
Yeah.
Steven,
I like this being the kind of last image that we get of this because, it's all framed like, okay, all we have to do is hold off until the Straw Hats get away and then we can leave, says Jinbei. And now we know that they've left the territory. So presumably all they have to do is just swim away and escape. And this is the lasting image of like Big Mom charging in. She's going to completely alter the landscape of this battle. And it's like, is that going to work? I don't know.
That's the end of the credits song, though.
Yep.
So now we get to the post-credits stinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
The Straw Hats are eating shawarma.
Yes. And now we are back to the usual Oda box. Actually, Ed, if you want to take that one.
Yes. I'll go with the help of a powerful shield, the Straw Hats escaped the territory of the Empress.
And here we go. We are on the Sunny again. The seas appear to be calm. And we can hear, the first thing we hear is the sound of stomachs gurgling. And it even looks a little bit like the Sunny may be kind of flapping a little bit. Sometimes he does that where it's a little... deflated, and Sanji's like, hey, like, should I cook some food or something? And the food, and then we get a close up of Luffy, Chopper, Brook, and Carrot. Food, Sanji's food, and Brook. Oh yeah, now that you mention it, I'm starving.
Brook's tongue.
And yeah, they're I think that's supposed to be saliva drops coming off. It is definitely not a condom. And
Definitely a tongue.
I mean, that was my first thought.
I guess we were asking, does Brook really have a tongue? Maybe that's the answer, but
Practice safe eating, you guys.
yeah.
Well, I hear about that island of plastic garbage out in the ocean.
And in the corner, we see a long shot of them all leaping onto Sanji. They're glomping him. Sanji's food, safe, free, and delicious. I believe that's what Gordon Ramsay always says about his food.
Notice the one person not glomping Sanji.
Yeah, is Nami, of course. She has too much self-respect to do that. And Sanji, I love this. Like, what happened to you guys while I was away?
They ate Luffy's food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luffy almost died.
Yeah.
Did
And
they ever fix the kitchen? They must have, right?
Let's not discuss that too much.
Yeah.
He might be he might be a little angry when he realizes Chopper went through his locker as well.
yeah, he saw his porn stash. And meanwhile, we do cut to the East Blue, and we see the Baratier, which is it my imagination, or did they build it up taller?
That was in the Decks of the World.
Okay, all right. Okay.
When they added the dessert boat as well.
It had
Yeah,
it was
right.
it was a 3-part Decks of the World, just going through the renovations.
Yeah.
There's also an underwater section now. They've really done a good job. I would suggest to take a visit there next time.
But also, some of those are just ships that are parked at the Baratier.
Yeah, some of the other stuff, yeah.
It's become very popular, is what we're trying to say. Please.
And yes, much like Oda and the Barate, Sanji has brought infamy and lots of interest to the Baratier by his fame. So, yeah, we see kind of right where we left them off. One of the cooks are yelling to Zeph to just kick him out. There's some enemies here. Why would you ever give them food? And Zeph is telling him to shut up and sit down. I'll do the cooking. And then we see this shot of the pirates in question. Hurry up and make with the food. Yarr! And looking very no, that's not Panaman. Okay, so this is the thing.
No, Panaman's all the way in the
Panaman's in the
background.
back.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
background, yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
He made it
I
all
did
the way
not
back
know-
to East Blue right here.
I did not know this. Steve pointed this out on Twitter that those guys are apparently from one of the pre-one shot.
The Romance Dawn. I think
Yeah.
it's part
Galley?
2 or part 1. I forget
Galley
which one.
Pirates, I think.
Yeah, I
The
think they were
Crescent
also called.
Pirates.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought they were called the Crescent Moon Pirates, which is why I know about them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's Galley.
Yeah.
You can always like I think whenever they had the wanted posters hanging up on the walls and stuff like that in like East Blue chapters, you'd always see his up there with them.
Yeah, that's great. I love that that he called back to that, and we also see Patty and Carne, and Patty has got a badass bouffant there, along with his his fisherman's rope around the forehead, and they're just furious that these guys are coming in and stealing the show, and meanwhile back on the Sunny. The cheer is going food up, food up, food up, and we see the cooks. Some shots of the cooks here, chopping up vegetables and stir frying. And Sanji, fine. And people get hungry every hour of the day. And Zeph is saying, even the bad guys need to eat. And then we get this great kind of symmetrical panels where they're even making the same dish that's like. It's probably like a shrimp paella or something because
that's
seafood shawarma. That's what
It's the fried rice he served to.
yeah.
I was gonna
D&D.
say, yeah.
yeah,
Same.
Oh,
and
dish.
that's
Same
cool.
dish.
Yeah.
and so Sanji says food served, and they both say, or they're mirroring each other's speech here. You hungry? I'll feed you. We can talk after that. Doom.
What are we gonna talk about?
Shrimp fried rice, by the way, great at Benihana. That's our sponsor for today's show. I wish. Benihana, you know who to call. 347-497-MAJI. That's gonna do it for the whole Cake Island arc and our end roll here. There's a lot to talk about with this chapter. So before we get into like general thoughts about like what we thought, there are a few big scenes here I kind of want to go through, which I kind of hinted at earlier. And I don't know who wants to take it away here first. The Sanji and Carrot stuff is anyone who wants to kind of just talk about their thoughts on how that was handled. Ed, I heard you.
Oh, sure.
Go for it.
I thought it was very touching, and it made, especially with the way it tied in with the brulee and katakuri aspect of their childhood and the flashbacks that they did to Mama's sort of treatment of Pudding. It's really sort of drove it home what the message of this was and how poorly that Pudding. It's something that we felt like we brought it up initially, that it would be sort of a cheap moment if Pudding was to be sort of affected this way by Sanji showing her any sort of like affection or respect in any way. But after seeing like the way that Mama's family has behaved, the way she's treated them, and the way that they behave toward each other, Montdor especially, it made this a sort of very bittersweet. And then she takes that last memory away, I guess, because that otherwise that would sort of, it would keep dragging him back. I think she thinks dragging him back towards Big Mom, and it's so dangerous that they couldn't overcome it at this point. They had to escape from it, and it's a very caring move, and I thought it felt very earned to me. I liked the whole resolution of it.
That wasn't really what I was asking, but cool.
Speaking
How
of
do you feel about Sanji?
Speaking of resolution,
Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
yeah, I want to say speaking of resolution, just because of how this was handled, I really, really hope that Pedro is dead.
Oh yes,
like
that was
I
the
think
question
that,
I was asking.
like part of me is like I feel like I should really feel something here, but because Oda's done this so many times where he just has brought somebody back from the dead, I'm like, it sucks because I don't want to. I don't want to feel that way. I want to be able to feel something because this is a legitimately sweet scene, and let's say, for example, Pedro is in fact dead. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to send him off as a character. I think his death scene, we'll call it that, was also awesome and fitting, and he accomplished his mission. Like that was his ultimate goal.
Yeah. And there was so much of it that he was a dead man already, based
Yeah.
on like especially his interactions with Mama.
I thought, we did see earlier, some scenes of the crew reacting to, having the moment that they needed to reflect on Pedro's death. But I think this follow-up was a very needed one because it's for Sanji's sake now that he is back on the ship.
And Carrot, who
he
knew
has
him very well.
Right. And the way that he framed it is like, that this Pedro came here originally because Sanji was here, and so Sanji needs to register that fact into to be aware of that, to realize his part to play in Pedro's story. And that was I think it was very gracefully done, the way that Oda was able to tie together so many elements into just a very brief scene here. Is great.
Yeah.
Alex, did you have any other thoughts about that?
No, that's perfect.
Jill or Dennis?
I mean, Sanji has to die so real Sanji can come back. There can only be one.
Okay.
God.
Sanji Highlanders.
That went to a dark place. So Ed already talked about this a little, but I want to talk about the scene with Pudding. Dennis, you want to start since you read most of it?
Sure. Like my joke response was obviously like, oh, Pudding wanted to see what cigarettes actually, like, experiencing cigarettes were, but obviously that's not what was going to happen there. I thought it was touching. It's pretty much
she's
what you would expect.
she's kissed Sanji at this point. She knows what cigarettes taste like.
Yeah. She's
Years
crying.
and years.
She's crying in that middle panel because it tasted so bad. That's what.
And now she has to get nicotine chewing gum.
Yeah.
But I felt it was really touching. Like, it did fit with her character and what we expected pretty much. I know this isn't technically Sanji's first kiss, but I'm wondering if it's the first one on the lips. And now she has stolen that from him. How dare you? But joking aside, like, yeah, I felt I did feel a little bit moved when reading this the first time, and going through it slowly, getting to appreciate it more, especially with the silent film, I guess, speech cards tossed in there, made it hit even more as we went over it in this read through.
Alex or Stephen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex.
I love what we didn't talk about was his he had hearts in his eyes.
Yeah.
In that last panel. What a man, I think when that moment did happen in the manga, we were talking about like, oh, what if Sanji actually got a kiss and he was he handled it very maturely.
Well, at least it's not a nosebleed, right?
Yeah.
No,
nice.
we've graduated. Congratulations, Sanji.
I mean, this is, I think, how a normal person, I mean, if we were in a cartoon, would react in this situation. Again, if we were in a cartoon.
Yeah. I gotta love this page. It's so good. And what, like, her clutching the memories and crying her eyes out afterwards is so, like, moving. It's such a, if you love this person, let them go type moment.
Yeah.
And it's also all because they can't defeat Mama. And that's something we've been talking about throughout this entire arc, is that, no, they can't do it. She's an emperor. They can't defeat her. That's what they have to run.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought it was a really good, like, there were many ways that Oda could have done a more kind of fleshed out, I guess, moral of the story, or, had this relationship go in different ways. And I think this was a pretty, I guess, minimalistic maybe, but I think it was in the best way, kind of minimalism, like of just having this one little gesture of to symbolize the kind of fragile little relationship that they had with this, kiss. And, on a similar note, like, he could have done so many different things with Pudding's memory powers. And yeah, he didn't, which I guess, by now it's another one of like Oda's things where if he introduces some power that has the ability to radically alter the narrative, like, he's not actually going to use it that way. He's just going to kind of hold it to a very a very small portion of the story, but I loved the film effect. I thought that was it was so cool. Like it was the silent film thing looked cool, and also just like that was his way of depicting, her power coming back is to literally draw the film. Like that was just, it was really well done, and I thought it was, extremely touching. It did. I think it was the perfect way to end like Sanji's part of that, where like, yeah, he did get the kiss, and he quote unquote got the girl. Like he has the sweetheart who actually really does think that he's like a super cool guy, and he doesn't even remember it. I was a little surprised that she didn't erase all of his memory of her, like that he completely forgot, like she only took the kiss, because that was something that I think we theorized, that she might just remove all of his memories of her entirely. I don't know, maybe that was just a little too drastic to show, or that Oda thought that would maybe be a little too harsh, but
if she did that, like eventually someone would mention it, be like, oh, how was pudding at the end there or something, and he would notice that they were missing.
Yeah,
so
I
he
guess
would know
that's
something
true.
was up. No
Yeah,
one knew
that's
about
not
this
just-
part.
Not just that, but I think that's also undoing a lot of Sanji character stuff too.
Yeah.
That we kind of should keep, because I think that was part of the point of this arc as well.
And it's also the aspect of Pudding getting to be selfish in a good way, in that this moment is only hers.
Right.
Nobody else gets to be a part of this.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, Jill.
Oh, I've been flip-flopping a lot on Pudding throughout the entire series. I'm not a huge fan of the tsundere thing, but I thought this was a very pure ending. She was kind of being like, she kept the memories with herself, but at the same time she was letting him go, and she didn't want him to like maybe have anything tying him back.
Mhm.
I thought it was really good, and I hope the anime does this justice. This panel,
The whole page, yeah.
the whole page. Yeah, I would love it if there was just if it was like maybe just the ticking sound, and then just done as this way.
Or like a player
and a
piano.
little bit of music.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, Stephen. I was reading Reddit today after this chapter came out, and somebody mentioned that the cigarette sound effect was GG, and that the normally a sound effect for cigarette burning is GGG, but there's just only two G's, so you'd better have a good explanation for this.
I don't know how to answer that. I mean, yeah, no, it's yeah, I actually apparently from what I could tell, someone on Reddit has, on the regular One Piece Reddit, has helpfully started putting up, I guess, like a regular, like official release threads for Viz subscribers to talk about the chapter, which is nice, because otherwise it's, that whole Reddit subreddit is kind of a hive of scum and villainy, if you will. And so I checked that out, or I told them thanks a while ago, and someone was saying that, I guess, like, they were claiming that she was calling him by a nickname or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, this is it's a cigarette falling on the ground. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh yes, my old childhood nickname, cigarette falling on the ground.
Or it would be Gigi, which I guess would be like short for Sanji, but it's still dumb because she's never ever called him that. She's never called him anything other than Sanji dear. Which,
Right.
Yeah. Like, why would she start calling him a weird pet name now, and one that means literally old man in Japanese?
yeah.
She immediately realized it was a
Gee,
mistake and took out his memory. She's like, "Oh, I'm never saying
Oh,
that
fuck.
again."
I messed that
Undo.
up. Great to have an undo button in your arsenal. And beyond that, I mean, there's a bunch I want to say about this scene. I mean, I've made my opinions on Pudding pretty known back and forth on this podcast, but I have to echo everything Jill said. This was handled really beautifully, is the only term I really have for it. And you could tell it's a little bit more of an embrace. Just she, like, her on her tippy toes at the end is a really cute touch as well.
Really cute.
Yeah. And yeah, like, not to get too personal here, but I've been in a long-term relationship and we had to leave, go be long distance for a period of time, and that's really kind of how this felt. Like her realizing, like, I'm gonna have to let go, whether or not that's forever or just for a short period of time. And it's just that kind of unknowability. Like, I completely feel all of the emotion that she has through this, the going from just like eyes leaking to ugly crying. But I think they did a really good job with it. And Jill, I think you posted, or someone else, I forget. This might be the most romantic scene in One Piece on Twitter. I forgot who. But
Not me.
No, it wasn't you. But
I'm inclined to agree. That's nice.
I would definitely agree. And
I mean, there's not a lot to choose from.
No,
so.
it's just like one of two.
Yeah.
It's this or Viola, or Violet, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, I Oda did a bang up job here, and then there's the stuff with Brule and Katakuri, kind of on the flip. Alex, you want to start us with opinions on that?
Yeah. Wow. What a great thing to come back to. I was completely okay with leaving Katakuri, the way he was, just because, Luffy putting the hat on his mouth and him facing up was a pretty great way to end it. But this was a really nice little epilogue. I came around to really liking Brule because of this. It just seemed that her power was used as a tool this entire arc, and she just kind of yells her branchy lungs out for the entirety of it. But in these 2 pages, you get exactly why she has the scar on her face, why she wants to inflict the same sort of thing onto beautiful ladies like Nami and Carrot, why she respects Katakuri the way that she does. And it's really nice because Katakuri, during the fight, he did the same kind of thing. Oh, how dare you, hurt my little sister. Like, it's nice to see the specific bond that they have. I don't have siblings myself, but I have, many cousins and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see which, who gravitates towards which sibling and stuff like that. It's a nice little bookend to the Charlotte family in general, and it makes me like all of them as a unit a whole lot more. Just the fact that they had to grow up in this weird, terrifying lifestyle that Big Mom put them through.
And clearly, at a point, at least in this flashback, where Big Mom isn't, she isn't Big Mom as we know her.
Yeah,
that's like these kids are getting fucked with constantly.
Yeah, well, and this clearly does not appear to be like, this is not Whole Cake Island. There's no Toto Land at this point. Like, they're just in some city, and
she might not even be on the island. I mean, it's
who knows? Off being a pirate.
Yeah, who knows? Interesting.
Stephen,
all I have to say for this one is, how dare you, Oda? Like, cute Brule. How can you do this to me? Like, I can't handle this.
I know, she's so cute.
It's the most Oda thing to take a character you despised, really, or like were annoyed by.
Wrong.
Yeah, and then just flip it. And I know Jill disagrees. I just flip it like this so quickly, but it's perfect. It's Oda at his best. I mean, when he's able to do something like this, and he's done it before, and I shouldn't be that surprised he's doing it here.
It does. It even it fits really well too, because the Brule that we knew previously, when she was annoying Brule, was aside from just all the usual like shenanigans of kind of tripping up the Straw Hats and being somewhat of a plot device. Like, her whole thing was like, my Katakuri, my Oni-chan, blah, 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 you can't him, he's so perfect, blah blah blah. And then to see that turned on its head from like her using him as like a tool of intimidation to actually seeing like the beating heart that is behind that relationship, that it's not just like her bragging about him to intimidate the Straw Hats, but that it's like she really does feel this way, and there is a a very strong sentiment beneath it. Like, yeah, it works so well.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is it weird that it makes me really appreciate the Flumpy Space Princess stuff, Flampe?
Oh,
In that it gives such a great contrast between two
Yeah, that's
people who
true.
admired Katakuri, but one for legitimately for him in his inside versus him on his
Mhm.
outside.
Yes, yeah.
I
think-
yeah, I actually kind of like that chapter now a lot more. Still a little annoying, but a lot more than I did.
Well, it
Yeah.
does give a nice contrast between the
Yes.
two characters.
It
Yeah.
does. Because we
I
were
think
asking
it's
the whole
a-
time, why is this not Brule? Sorry, Jill, please.
no, it's fine. Go ahead and finish your thought.
No, that was my thought. Go ahead.
I think it's really interesting because we get to see them as more than just members of the Charlotte family or Mama's kids. They're all individual, and they probably grew up a lot without her. Like they probably had to babysit each other with that many kids. It's not like she was one-on-one with them all the time. So I thought that it's really interesting. They probably have a really deep connection, especially the older ones who've grown up together, seen the entire empire rise. And I do love that that Brule keeps referring to him as their perfect older brother, even when her actual biggest flaw is a direct result from his actions. So she doesn't care about that at all. He's
Well-
still her big brother.
Yeah. I mean, I want to talk about that at the end, so I'll save that. Anyone else have any thoughts on the Katakuri Brule stuff?
Well, now that Flampe has stepped down from being the head of the Katakuri fan club,
We
I
know
think
who's
Brule
stepping
can
up.
slide right in.
Yeah. If that fan club continues to exist. So I guess we should talk about the next page, the next spread, kind of going over the unanswered questions of Whole Cake Island. And I know this is the part that's going to probably annoy the most fans. There's a lot of things we don't know.
Yep.
Even going back to Pudding, we don't know the secret power of the third eye people that we kind of were hinted at. Or what's going to happen to Jinbei? What's going to happen to everyone? I mean, how do you feel leaving Whole Cake Island on the note we're leaving it on, presumably?
Well, with an ending like that, I'm actually okay with it. I'll be honest. Like that, this was Sanji's arc, and it ends pretty perfectly for that. I feel okay about leaving the other stuff bookended. We don't know what's going to happen to the Fishman Pirates or Germa. We don't know what's going to happen with the Elbaf stuff that we kind of peeked into, but that just more fodder for when or if the Straw Hats go to Elbaf. I feel like Mama's got to find out about who baked her this cake, and who knows what'll happen after that. But as far as the all-encompassing Sanji arc goes, I think it ended very well. If nothing else, people are going to look back on this as another type of Skypia, where more stuff from this arc will be relevant in the future.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, Steven, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that it definitely. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be just basically saying my thoughts on the chapter in general, but
We're almost there.
yeah, this did close kind of remarkably efficiently a lot of the kind of emotional story beats that I really wanted to see. Even if some of them, like I said, may have been a little shorter than I could have gone for a little bit more, but I think he was remarkably good at giving you something that works as a nice end cap to X character or Y relationship. And the stuff, I guess some of the things like the one that keeps bugging me is whatever was going on with Brooke. And I feel like the idea of having like certain little things left unclosed, like that are still hanging around, that we won't find out until Big Mom Part 2, if that's what we're getting. it's not like the biggest thing for me, but the thing that kills me is that Brooke was acting so weird at the very start of this arc, and so the entire time I've been like, oh, I can't wait to find out what he's going on about, and to not have that come through. I feel like it must be, it must be Elbaf related, because it's obviously going to be something in the distant past, and that's kind of what we have not seen with Big Mom, like with what happened with her and Mother Carmel. If there is more to that story that maybe we need to know, or about her and the giant, her and Loki, Prince Loki, stuff like that. Maybe that all comes together if we do have a meetup in Elbaf, but some of that I'm okay with. Some of it is like, I feel kind of shortchanged a little bit. But this did do a remarkable job, I think, at closing a lot of the stuff that I was really upset about after the last chapter. At least in terms of closure. I still have issues with like arc execution as a whole, but that's obviously a different discussion.
Yeah, we'll save that one to next week.
Yeah.
Stephen, I completely forgot about. It really sucks because at the beginning of the arc, I was also talking about how Brooke was acting shady and weird.
Right.
And just as recent as a couple chapters ago, Brooke even mentions about Smoothie that, I wonder if she's a giant or whatever. Like, there's clearly something. There's clearly something there.
Yeah.
Just what the fuck is it? When are we gonna get to the fireworks factory?
At least Brooke got the 2 poneglyph rubbings. So
yeah, and he got a pretty cool moment too.
Yeah, Brooke got some great moments.
Couple.
Yeah.
Couple of cool moments, but
everybody
I think
got great moments.
Everybody. Yeah. Oh, I forgot that Zeus is still on the fucking ship too. So that's
yeah. Okay, there you go. That's another one.
Oh yeah, that's a big open
What's
end.
that?
Yeah. Maybe that. I mean, in what capacity can that come back? If it does, I don't know.
Like, if it's too far away from Mama, does it just become a cloud?
Maybe they just killed Zeus.
It's like a tether. It's like a tether that they're sailing away, and he's literally just pulled backwards. He can't go any further physically from her.
Or what if with Zeus being on the ship now, Big Mom technically knows where the Straw Hats would be, or a general area would be, like a Zeus tracker.
Yeah.
Ricard.
Maybe it works like a V Ricard.
So let's go through the chapter just generally. If you guys have any other thoughts that we haven't discussed up to this point.
Vinsmoke Judge's mask is off, but he's bandaged, and that means I still don't know if his eyebrows connect in the center, which is what I was hoping for.
Yeah,
or on like a spiral in the center.
There's the stuff with Judge. I really want to. I'm like, well, I'm more forgiving that wasn't answered in this arc because it kind of was tangential. I assume whenever we do meet Vegapunk, we'll get more about Judge and Caesar. Also, where's Caesar? Very important question.
Capone, isn't he?
No. But Caesar was in this chapter, so there's that. The very beginning.
We also did find out what happened with Peckham's, if there was any closure on that.
Yeah, we didn't find out that.
Oh no, poor guy.
Yeah. We never got to see his. Well, at least up to this point, I've not seen his full Sulong, and I also wanted to see that.
Yeah.
I feel a little
bit. I'm not sure how the fire tank pirates are escaping since they don't have a ship.
No, fire tank pirates are on one of the tarts. They probably actually did escape. Yeah.
Yeah, they escaped last week.
Yeah. I think they're good. I'm not worried about them. Any other thoughts on the chapter? Yeah.
The Sanji and Zeph stuff is great, and Cap just hammering that again. Like this is Sanji's real old man. The one he really takes after.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. Like what a great way to bookend everything. Like I gotta say that's and this is something that Sanji has needed since like Thriller Bark. I feel like he kind of he's sort of back to the way Sanji is supposed to be. Like there were many opportunities for him to be super horny cook this entire arc, and that didn't happen. So I'm just thankful for that, and I hope it sticks.
I mean, I want to end things kind of just connecting all the little parts of this chapter and maybe relating it to the arc. That this chapter in particular seems to emphasize the journey in kind of the self-worth of each of these characters. If you'll recall, a lot of Sanji's journey through this arc has been kind of like, I'm not worth the trouble to the crew that this is going to cause. I'm not worth the, so on and so forth. And in this, you kind of are, or at least I was thinking while I was reading through it, is he's thinking back about Pedro, and you think, oh, he's going to blame himself for his death, which is kind of we see that kind of echoed with Katakuri a little bit later with Brule, but he doesn't. When Carrot, he talks to Carrot and realizes, no, this is something he knew he had to do. I know what kind of man he was. On Pudding's side, it's her journey of self-worth from masking it in the many personae, and they're all kind of masking that layer of, I'm not worth this, I'm not worth that. And when Sanji kind of unmasked that, this is she's able to kind of start getting over that self-hatred. And with, I think Katakuri's is kind of almost the most interesting here, in that he has blamed himself for Brule's injury, and that a lot of his actions, up through this point, he was kind of carefree, very Luffy-esque almost as a kid, and it's very interesting to see, I'm going to take on this burden and all burdens, because that's, because I did this terrible thing and I deserve to suffer because of it. And Luffy kind of freed him of that burden in a way during this fight, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I that's just the 2 cents I wanted to add to it. I think it's kind of cool how Oda kind of threw those all together. Any other final thoughts?
I think that's about it. That was we'll have more to say next week, I think.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that was well said, Zach.
Oh, thank you. So I sometimes talk on this podcast. Let's go into the next segment.
Toho.
Major film studio in Japan.
Yaro.
Guys,
We are Toho Yaro, the Toho guys.
we're a monthly movie club podcast where we watch a Japanese film and talk about it.
We discuss things like the existential dread of Akira Kurosawa's Ikiru,
And a cat portrait that barfs gallons of blood and house.
And just who is Tora-san?
Explore the world of giant monsters, historic swordsmen, and melodramatic truckers from Toho Studios and beyond with us,
Toho
Yaro.
part of the Maji Media Network, available wherever you get your podcasts.
We
are
are
Maji.
Maji.
This is the Piece Together segment where we are comforted from our favorite fan service animals. This week, let's start with Ed.
This piece.
This piece. For our Patreon subscribers, you could ask questions, and we have to answer them, no matter how long, short, or unrelated they may be. First one comes from Morgul, who says, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the guy at the Baratier kind of looks like Crescent Gary from the original Romance Dawn one-shot. We did discuss this.
Gary?
Gary.
I read
Gary.
Gally.
Yeah.
Although I like
Gary.
Gary.
Gary, that's pretty
That's a
good.
good
He looks like
name.
a snail. Yeah.
He's Gary the
It's
pirate.
me, the captain of the Crescent Moon Pirates, Gary. Yeah.
Okay. He also said, is it safe to assume the arc is over now? Who won the contest?
Well, one indeed.
So the Whole Cake Island contest, who won our contest here? I guess 901, I won. Ha, guys, in your face, right?
Bravo.
Ah,
Congratulations.
So dumb.
So I'm going to host an episode of the podcast, and hey, what do you know? I happen to be hosting an episode.
Should do it next week.
I should. I'm gonna try and think of something fun to do in the future. I don't know. What am I supposed to say? We got a lot of comments from the original post. So we have let me just see how many people. I'm looking at this right now. We have 3 people chose 902. Wait, at least 3 because there's a lot of comments here. Wait, give me 1 second. I'll figure this out. Okay, so how many people chose 902? 4 people chose 902. Okay.
Wow.
So we have to randomly choose this because 4 people chose it. The prize, I completely forgot since this was posted back in December 2016. So let's see what the prize for this contest was. You will get a free subscription to Weekly Shonen Jump for 1 year.
All right.
At the time, these were relevant, so let's see. You'll get the One Piece Film Gold set, One Piece Season 9 Voyage 1 box set, and the first physical volume of the Whole Cake Island arc, One Piece Volume 82 in English. If you already have that, we'll give you the most recent one. The physical prizes are only available in the US and Canada. Other digital prizes would be available for those outside if it's available for them. So let's see. I'm gonna have who wants the Ed, you're my co-host. You're my first co-host. You get to choose a number between 1 and 4. It's the only way we could do this. Okay, so the third person here is A. Hadrani, and if he is somehow still listening after all this time, he is our winner. Let's give him a little bit of time to we'll post it on our social media as well. But otherwise, I'll read the other people who guessed it since good for them. And if this person does not respond, these people have a chance. Actually, Ed, why don't you guess the numbers in the order you want them to win? So you said 3? And
3, 1.
Okay, so
4,
1. Wait,
2.
let's do this one at a time. 1 would be, so if we don't get an answer from 3, let's give 2 weeks from now, so 2 podcasts from now. Nagato Uzumaki, would be the winner.
Well, he's clearly in Japan, so.
Then you said 4. Was 4 your next one?
Yeah, 4 then 2.
Okay, so then that person gets 2 weeks. If that person doesn't answer 2 podcasts later, Marcelo Nunez is the next one. And
I mean, hey, if you're any of these 4 people, just send in your name. Just say, like, maybe we only hear back from one of you.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, no matter what, let us know. And the last person who will be impossible to verify.
Win by default.
The last person who will be impossible to verify is
You remember who you are.
If you remember who you were a year ago. Yeah, so
like the nights you say
this is a podcast that makes you go
just MMM, 3 M's. Please contact us. Email us.
Oh my god, maybe it's triple M, like Triple H.
But try and give us the header contest winner or something along those lines, so at least it stands out. Okay. And also, when is the next? Morgul also asked when the next contest is going to be, when Wano ends or when does Reverie end. I can't. I have to give it at least a chapter or 2 into that arc before at least, because I don't know what's coming next. So we'll find out. Dennis, you also have other English volumes for Whole Cake Island, I think. So maybe we could give those away too, if you're okay doing that. Yeah. So we'll probably throw in some extra stuff there too for our winners. So again, congratulations to me, most of all. So again, the number 1 winner is A. Hadrany, Hadrany. Contact us. Give us some proof. I don't know what proof or whatever. I don't know. Next question is from Matt Martin, who has a longer question for us. So he says, so the years of Sanji is finally over. Oof. And he's home on the Sunny, while plenty of the plot threads that have been building through this arc have reached their conclusion, and others seem to be going to continue later on, like Elbaf perhaps. One interesting part of Germa's past wasn't really elaborated on. We know that our favorite journalist, Bird, has a relationship of sorts with Germa, given that they run syndicated comics of them. But we never really find out the story of how and why those strips began to be published, who created them, and most importantly, why is Sanji's mother the namesake of its Navy hero that fights Germa? While most of the... Good questions. While most of the putting Big Mom stuff that hasn't been resolved has a logical place going forward in the story, it seems odd that we never hear the story of how Sora and Judge's connection to the comic strip, even during the big flashback to Sanji's youth in the North Blue. I heavily doubt Germa will be making it to the Reverie, so I'm stumped thinking about where and when we see Germa again and find out this info. If Germa does, this is a longer one, sorry. If Germa does show up in the near future or after Wano, what sort of role do you think they could play in the story? I'm not sure how much of a role they can play, given Sanji seems to have made relative peace with his family and gained their respect. So, thoughts?
Wow.
I know that was a mouthful. But,
I mean, we could discuss more about the end of the chapter where, people seemed to be doomed.
Yeah, like I think I mentioned this last week. I kind of assumed that Mama would have gotten what she wanted and control over Germa's scientific military might. And that might just be what happens. That's kind of where my mind is headed.
Right. It could be like, the actual Vinsmokes get away safely because they have their, super science jumpsuits, speed suits, and all of that stuff. But that the actual, laboratories and all of the assets thereof are under Big Mom's power. I guess that's a potential way to resolve that.
Yeah. And then they'll eventually find Ava Unit 1, which is actually Sanji's mom.
Yep. It's underneath.
Alex has been watching a lot of Evangelion.
Yeah, you beat me to that point. Good point. Okay, let's go to our next portion, Ed. The emails.
Oh, the emails?
Emails.
You mean the email? Emails, right?
Emails.
Okay.
Emails.
They just say emails.
First question comes from Ryan. Going in reverse chronological order here. While you're all either feeling underwhelmed, overwhelmed, or something else about the end of the Whole Cake Island arc, and the arc in general, but I have a what if for you. How would the fight between Luffy and Doflamingo have gone if Luffy used either Snake Man or Tank Man instead of Bound Man?
Ooh, I think it'd go a little something like this. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
I know you did.
It's more fun than answering the question.
Yeah.
Someone also had a question about the GG thing. If you're curious.
Boy, this is going to be the new pirate summit of game, pirate games.
What's
going to be the new Jewelry Bonnie.
What's Katakuri's fake scanlation name?
Dogwood.
Yeah. Dogwood. I like Dogwood.
Dogwood.
Should be Dogwood. Dogwood. Katakuri
Dog
is his
treat.
full name.
Katakuri dog treat.
He's Dogtooth Bumstead.
Dagwood? Katakuri Dagwood? That would be like a food.
He just stacks up all of his donuts one on top of each other.
He's married to Katakuri Blondie.
Oh god.
Good stuff here.
Yeah, it's like Oda's throwing in he's got his Garfield with his Cat Viper and Dagwood with Katakuri. Jesus.
When's Archie going to show up in One Piece?
Which one's the new Nancy?
Oh man.
Yeah.
She's all
everybody should. It's great. Everybody should read the new Nancy comics. They're amazing.
Let's name off
saw
some more
some of those.
newspaper comics. Go.
Martin asks, now that we're out of Totoland, what is the podcast's favorite new character introduced and least favorite character? Also a highlight moment. I guess we'll probably talk about that more next week, but let's do favorite new and least favorite new character.
I like this. This is nice.
I don't know, Compote. She didn't do anything.
Is that your favorite new character?
No.
Yes, it's my favorite new character.
My least favorite new character was that she was supposed to be based on the order of her birth. You'd think she'd be important, but
she has that amazing hat. I don't know how you could hate her. She didn't do anything. How could you hate someone who doesn't do anything?
I had higher expectations for the first daughter.
I'll take
Well, I
the
mean, like,
easy way out with Katakuri being a new favorite. Like, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
Flumpy Space Princess is my least favorite still.
Yeah.
I think I think
Oh yeah.
I thought that chapter, and at the time, if you listen to that manga recap, felt like a repeat of Queen Orica Vacusuck. In retrospect, the chapter I don't hate, but I still really hate the character, which you're supposed to. So
that's why I like. That's almost like a cop out. It's like the few times that Oda, writes a character that you're supposed to hate 100%. It's like you're giving in. Don't
It's
give
like
in.
Let me
Tell you how to feel.
I'll re-ask the question then. Who was the worst used character in this arc?
Smoothie.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to argue.
Not underused, worst used.
Worst used.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Generally,
because the most she did was make giraffe juice. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that
Jeffrey
was
juice
great.
is what we called it, right?
Yeah, we called it
Yeah.
Jeffrey juice. Which now, because of Toys R Us,
So much
is-
sadder now, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be
Jeez.
And then
awesome.
we
She's the one-
know that it's
It's her fault.
Like Kirin Ichiban.
Yeah.
Guys, it's her fault. She's the one that made
She was the-
Toys R Us fold.
Jeffrey Giraffe disappeared.
Bought out-
He knew
bought out
where he
by
went.
Bought out by Smoothie Capital.
R.I.P. Well, my favorite character in this arc, my favorite new character is Oven, like hands down. I fucking love Oven
He's good.
so much.
Um,
Oven's great.
Oven, yeah,
Actually,
Oven's
I really love Big Mom as a villain.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
mine.
So yeah,
She's the best. Like, she is like the only. Well, I guess Eneru left for the moon, but nobody else has like forced the Straw Hats to retreat like this before.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna. I'll answer a kind of different question that he didn't ask, but I'm asking myself. The character
Okay.
whose mind I changed the most on, like, went from kind of disliking or kind of being about to liking pretty damn much, is Katakuri.
Yeah.
He started out as a Trafalgar Law, and he made his way to, like, I don't know. I really, especially after this chapter, I really enjoy Katakuri. He's not my favorite of the arc, but he's definitely up there for me.
Well, we know what your favorite of the arc is.
Big News Morgans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were right.
There's- There's so many. I would like. I'd be hard pressed to pick like an actual favorite because I mean I guess I love Oven because I think his design is the shit. But like you guys brought up Big Mom, Katakuri is great. Pudding, Pudding is fantastic. I wasn't expecting to like Brulee as much as
I would have said a realistic least favorite character was Brulee, but he really
he saved it.
just
at
this
the
last
end there.
chapter. Yeah, he had the stick save.
He probably
at
is
the end.
like, shit, she is unlikable and not for the reasons that I wanted her to be.
Yeah.
I better save this quick. And he did. If he did that with Satori at the end of Skypiea, we would be in a very different situation. With
Satori's fine.
Oh, no. Sorry. Anyway, we have a lot of questions and comments about like thoughts about the arc. I'm going to save those until next week. But we do have Ben Wild telling us how we did on our trivia last week. Luffy's gladiator number was 556. These are the ones we missed. We got 4 out of 6 correct, which isn't bad.
I was right about the 56 though, the Gomu.
Yeah.
But we had the number wrong.
Yeah. I knew it was a potential chapter from way earlier. I think I said the 500s. So if we only
We were
compound,
close.
Yeah.
Oh.
And how many berries did it cost to enter Skypiea? We gave up.
No, I got the exchange rate right. I just had the price wrong.
He said, "Nice thinking on the trick question idea." It's 100,000 berries, by the way. And the winnings the winnings were donated. So thank you very much, Ben. If other people, we're always open to doing more trivia for money only. We don't do that for free. No. If you're a Patreon subscriber of any sort, though, we will answer your trivia question.
You just opened the floodgates.
I did. You can subscribe to us on Patreon at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Why don't we move on? We have a lot more emails, but we'll get to those next week. Why don't we get into some Reddit? Steven.
All right. Yeah, we got a ton of Reddit. So I kind of picked, I pruned the questions a little bit. So sorry if yours didn't get read. We've talked about a lot of stuff already just from the manga recap. So we'll start with, my name is Khan, who says, I just want to say hi. Hi.
Hi.
That's
Hello.
okay. See, that just took 2 seconds. So I can
Hello
read
there.
that. Next is from Nami, Minister of Salami, who says,
Ugh.
That's a good
OPP,
one.
I recently listened to episode 452 where Greg made some predictions for the Whole Cake Island arc. Now that the arc is coming to an end, let's check if he can really see into the future. All right, here we go. So Greg predicted that Big Mom will open the tamate box, which will explode and destroy the wedding cake. So half right. Certainly about the box opening. Sanji will make the new cake and use ingredients produced by the abilities of Big Mom's children. Half right.
That's
That's half right.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Chiffon's power, but it was her recipe.
It was their skill.
Yeah,
Pudding,
it was through some of their help, but
Pudding
it wasn't
is
like
their
literally
thing.
beating the ingredients out of them. Nothing like that.
Although it's smoothie, it could have been.
Yeah. While Sanji makes the cake, Luffy will fight Big Mom and hold her back until the cake is ready. After everyone works together, they will make good with Big Mom, and thanks to that, get away in the end. In her rage, Big Mom will kill Lola. Lola would be on her way from Water 7 to Whole Cake Island, traveling with Praline because Praline is fast. She's a mermaid. And Capone, Bedge, and Pudding are probably in cahoots because of Nitro the Jelly and his gangster laugh. His gang, laugh and look. As he says, well, I guess Greg has to train his observation hockey still a bit more. But yeah, a lot of those did largely, the general outline was on the money. I would say.
Lola staying not involved was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty convinced that Nitro was the bridge between Pudding and Capone.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't end up representing much.
And
I feel like that was a weird red
Pound
herring.
just stayed dead, apparently.
Yeah. What's funny is that I really liked his death scene too. Like, I hope he stays
Yeah.
as well, because that was also very nice. Like, as far as death scenes go,
Mm-hmm.
Man, people can just die in One Piece now.
It's weird.
I kind of hope so. I mean, like, not like hope so, but I mean, I think it's
Makes sense. Like, this is
Yeah.
the Emperor's man.
Right, it might not be
Okay,
them,
so-
like, since Oda's afraid of, like, saying they're dead, it might just be like, oh, they're dying, but, oh, we're never going to see them again. Like, kind of like that. Like, it's kind of ambiguous. Although with Pedro, it wasn't really ambiguous at all.
Yeah, well, what if next chapter, it's, the whole chapter is just one scene where, like, the door opens in a cottage and the guy's yelling, hey, wait, you forgot your eye patch and your apple juice and your turtle shell and your, this and that. It's just all of the characters all leaving at once. All right.
I have to wonder what it was like for people. Stephen, were you reading weekly during that Pell chapter?
No, I caught up weekly in the middle stages of Skypiea during the trials part of Skypiea. That's where I caught up.
I have to ask Greg about that. He might have been reading it back then.
Yeah. Well, that was the first time he ever really pulled that trick too. So it was before it created the mold that he went back to so many times.
Maybe the Pagaya one is the better one to ask about.
Will of P.
Yeah. So the next question from Inhalant, who says, if Sanji were to cook one dish that represents each of these straw hats, not necessarily their favorite, but which represents them, what would they be?
Luffy's is meat on a bone.
Yeah, I think it would still be like their favorite food.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate them, right? From their favorites like that. 'Cause they're so closely tied to their image.
Well, as opposed to like cotton candy, I think Chopper could be like a character cake, like a cake boss reindeer cake.
No, it's not, you're not talking about like a big old steak of venison or something.
Yeah, it's just venison.
Cake boss.
Inami would have something like citrusy to it. The oranges.
Yeah.
Done with it.
I want to say that, like, well, he would make Zoro would be just like a, here you go, it's just a big, it's a literal Marimo that he's just pulled out of the
Yeah, that is what
Flopped
Sanji
it on a
would cook
plate.
for. Yep.
It's rice balls that he's walked all over. Although he wasn't around to see that. But
No,
And
yeah.
he would accidentally drop it on the floor like, oops.
Yeah.
or
And then
didn't he
they're
put
gonna
glass
feed it
in
to Zoro and he's gonna cry. He's gonna be like, tell him it was good.
it? But didn't he put glass in Zoro's food once, right?
It's razor blades.
Razor blades. That's right.
Yeah. Zoro was crunching it. Yeah, I guess that's about the best we can do with that prompt. It's a tricky one.
Mhm.
Real Pool says, it looks like we will get a Big Mom arc part 2. My question is, how do you see Oda integrating her back into the story? Here are some options. So feel free to choose your own if you think none of these are viable. So here's some options. Elbaf brings Mother Carmel and Big Mom's memories back into picture, pun intended, and also involves the new giant pirates. Fishman Island. Big Mom decides to destroy the Fishman Island to punish for revolting and the Tamate Box explosion. It might also incorporate Madame Charlie's premonition about Luffy destroying the island. Wano. Big Mom could follow the Straw Hats to Wano and get involved in this big war Oda has been promising. And Totoland to a Save Jinbei arc, which involves going back. Well, I definitely hope it's not that.
Yeah, I'm totally done with Totoland.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
I
Elbaf for
like the idea of Wano though, like because Jinbei has to come to Wano, and I feel like Big Mom would maybe follow him. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool if.
I don't see that happening because, again, that also goes back to the the four emperors never they seem to recognize the boundaries. I mean, maybe that would be to break that rule, but I think I would guess that he has, he wants to tell the Wano story, and he is probably going to be freaking huge enough as it is. I don't know if Big Mom going in there, although it would be pretty crazy if that was what happens.
Yeah,
Oh no, sorry, you go, Dennis.
Oh, I was gonna say for either Kaido or Big Mom, I wouldn't mind seeing the other members of the Straw Hat fleet come to Luffy's aid during that time, because Big Mom's fleet is pretty massive. So Luffy can use as much help as he can get.
Yeah, they're supposed to be involved in some sort of big thing in the future, according to the narrator. So I feel like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Now this might depend on what happens at the Reverie, because
we could be seeing that very soon. Who knows?
Fujitora's big thing was that he wanted the Seven Warlord system to be dismantled, and they could take that one step further by dismantling the Four Emperors.
Well, the Four Emperors aren't a government institution. It's just something that happens.
Well, I guess that's true, but I think they would
or declaring war on the Four Emperors or something like.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't turn a blind eye to it anymore.
Right.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, it would certainly give. I think that would give the best impetus for the Marines to continue getting heavily involved. Because if you kind of think about it, there now that we are fully onto the the emperors and heading to Raftel, there isn't a huge reason for the Marines to come charging after them still, because you would assume that since they're going to be bouncing from emperor to emperor's regions, that the Marines would not necessarily want to get directly involved. So I feel like we need some reason for them to be a present part of the story, because otherwise all we're going to be looking at is these the big bads.
I haven't thought about the Marines and the world government in a while, so I think it's about time.
Yeah. Straw Hat Deku says, my question is, what do you think Zoro and the rest of the crew's reaction will be when they find out Jinbei got left behind? Are they going to voice the reader's frustration for us?
They're probably going to be like, oh, Jinbei was there in the first place? They don't even know that.
Yeah, okay, guys, we got some good news and some bad news. The good news is Jinbei's joining. The bad news is he's not here yet.
Wait, what? Why?
Negatron says, I watched the first episode of the 4Kids dub the other day and was wondering if you guys could 4Kids style dub any part of the series, what would you like to do?
Law's backstory.
That was fast.
What was the one with the fake the Nero fight on the train?
Oh god, that one is so good.
The fake
it's very good.
4Kids. That's very good.
Fake 4 God.
That's my favorite thing.
It's only on Vimeo right now. I think it got taken down from YouTube or something.
Find that video.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think honestly, Whitebeard and Ace's death, I think, would be really a really good one just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Like a farm for cats.
Would the
Why were they
four
taken to a
kids
cat
dub,
farm?
would the 4 Kids dub improve the new Fishman Island pirates?
No, never. Like, if anything, it would make it worse. Like, ugh, come on, man.
Pop goes the weasel.
I want to watch that now.
Yeah.
Go.
Let's see. Prince of Assassins points out we covered a part of this. I think this chapter really does show further how bad of a mother Big Mom is. Her anger towards children was already known, but this really shows how neglectful she was. Katakuri is allowed to be insulted without consequences. Brule is cut up without any of the punks being afraid of retribution. People were wondering why Pudding was being tormented when she's Big Mom's kid back in chapter 862, but this chapter just goes to show Big Mom doesn't give a damn. And this fault comes back with how Katakuri's desire to break free of the immense pressure and Pudding's desire to find someone who can accept her directly fell into reasons why the crew was able to survive. Big Mom's biggest enemy was herself. Are there any other villains who have had their flaws play such a clear role across the board in preventing their victory? I've been thinking about it for a while and only came up with Crocodile's secrecy keeping Baroque works in the dark. That's a good one, I think, that the messaging was kind of not there for Crocodile and Baroque works along the way before they got to Crocodile, and the mistrust that ensued. I think you could actually you could probably make decent arguments for a lot of villains.
I wrote a whole editorial on Arlong being an idiot a while back.
Actually, the one who was surprisingly well planned out was Eneru. He just, his flunkies fell down on the job and got beaten, but he really planned that out pretty well.
Yeah.
His whole plan was, I'm God now.
Yeah. If anything was his fault, I guess it was his hubris in not paying more attention to Luffy, or kind of figuring out ahead of time that Luffy had rubber powers. But that's kind of, I don't know, I guess that's a pretty straightforward thing. Like a lot of them, in some way, all of them are too arrogant as villains, and that's how, Luffy beats them. But
I mean, technically, Doflamingo's plan worked for for a while. Like, he actually succeeded in his plan. You could say that about Dressrosa. It was sort of like, well, what if Alabasta actually happened? I mean, what if Operation Utopia had occurred? Something like that.
Right. Had occurred 10 years ago.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most interesting parts about that story arc. I take a huge dump on it normally, but I think it's a definitely cool way to think about it.
And actually, one of the things that Doflamingo was very smart about is that he didn't try to use his string powers to control any of the Straw Hats and turn them against each other, because for as obvious as that would be, I can't believe he didn't try to use that. Of course, the Straw Hats would never be led astray by that manipulation because they stick together.
Yeah, God, that's such a missed opportunity. That would have been so good.
Yeah.
Well, he's not dead, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's just pulling strings in the prison. Gunther C. Perk 97. Sanji's cake reminded Big Mom of what she ate on her 6th birthday. So is Sanji's secret ingredient little children?
Wow.
Dark.
Let's say
the heart of a forsaken orphan.
Is that Orpheus?
Yeah, I think that was the line. An orphan.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that. There are 4 puddings in the fridge.
Situation.
The concept of one of them. Yeah, I think we mentioned that, right, when we were reading that chapter. Maybe there's an orphan in there.
Yeah. Hot dolphin. Rainer, not a fox, says since Zeus was last seen in the custody of Nami a dozen or so chapters ago, does that mean he's taken Caesar's place as the Straw Hats' resident hostage?
Yeah. Just from now on, they always have some hostage.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it, pirate style. That's gotta have a hostage.
Totally. Optfire says, let me start off saying Whole Cake Island is a top 5 arc for me. The positives immensely outweigh the negatives, but there is one criticism I wanted to bring up. Sanji begged Luffy to stay and help save Germa around 30 chapters ago, but now he's left them to die at the hands of Big Mom. And he's wondering about Pedro's fate when his sister is possibly becoming a homie right now. We also saw Jinbei suddenly pull the I can't leave them behind card last chapter when it seemed like he was okay with leaving his crew to help sabotage the wedding. The self-sacrifice theme has just been handled too inconsistently in this arc, and it really cheapens the effect. I
don't remember exactly how that went down, most of it.
The wedding part, yeah. I think I feel like we did say this maybe in the last chapter or two that I feel like Oda would probably say, like, in Sanji's mind, like kind of similar to like Sanji's general food philosophy of like, I will do this for you, and whatever happens after that is kind of, your business, or maybe we need to have words about this later. But I feel like him saving them was like at the wedding was like, okay, I did that for you, and whatever they did afterwards is their business. And they kind of returned the favor by saving him on Cacao Island. But I feel like for Sanji, that's kind of like, okay, we're donesies, 1-1. And if they are stuck at Big Mom, I don't think that Sanji is going to spend a lot of time wondering about what ifs of what is happening to them now. That's my suspicion.
It's his family that he doesn't like. He made sure they didn't die, and they were nice to him and saved his life a little bit. And now he doesn't ever have to talk to them again, really.
Right.
Yeah. We're not dealing with Whoop Slap here. He's not going to be wondering what somebody is doing right at this moment in time.
SS Luffy has some reasons why Big Mom won't take revenge on East Blue for all the things the Straw Hats did in Whole Cake Island. Oda forgot that he introduced the concept that Big Mom takes revenge on the families and friends of her enemies. Katakuri tells Big Mom that he's now best bros with Luffy and begs for forgiveness. Shanks recognizes the threat once he hears of this news and declares the East Blue now under his protection. Pudding tells Big Mom that it was Sanji who baked the cake, so she decides to wait for a direct confrontation with Luffy. What do you guys think is the best? I personally like option 3, he says, with Shanks. Yeah.
Most of the Straw Hat kids are kind of orphans anyway, so...
Yeah, most of them are.
She's going to go after Dragon. That's the only option.
That's pretty good. I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe this is just me just being like impatient, but I kind of feel like it's definitely something where, like, Oda so rarely goes backwards for plot reasons. Like, he'll go backwards like he did in this chapter to show you the Baratier because it serves a thematic purpose. But like, I don't know. I just don't. I feel like he doesn't really go backwards for plot reasons. And maybe there's some, maybe there's some narrative rationale that he can give for closing that up. But I feel like he probably doesn't need to spell it out. It's like, okay, it's done. Big Mom is going to chase after them, but I don't think she's going to bother herself with like small time stuff like that.
Doesn't seem like the kind of thing Big Mom would do.
No.
Yeah.
She doesn't chase.
Not at this point.
No,
It's not Lord of the Rings. They're not going to go back and terrorize Bag End.
Yeah. Even Pete Jackson was like, yeah, I'm not going to waste time with that.
Yeah.
I am interested to see what the headline is going to be on the
World
news,
Economic Journal.
Yeah, just because of like news is going to get out that the Straw Hat Pirates are masterminds who beat Big Mom, basically. Like they humiliated Big Mom and escaped her territory, kind of thing, and planned everything. Like, I think that's gonna. I think
Capone gets
that
credit
might
for nothing.
happen. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he just has to go back
Deal
to
with
the
it.
bedrock and jam.
Lost his ship. Yeah. Luna Taichi okay, this is the question. Why was GG changed from the raw to fizzed in the official release? Thank you. This is the cigarette thing again. So yeah, let me just state for the record that there is really no other way to interpret that scene. So if you got misled astray, then blame that on you got what you pay for, I guess. Don't read scanlations.
You just get confused.
Yeah. Stupid Flanders says, hey, OPP, so there have been 2 different points in this arc that I was thinking were plot holes, but wanted a professional opinion on it. First, why did the Vince Smokes even need to track down the real Sanji? No one knew of his real identity, so why didn't Judge just have one of the clones say he was his son? The problem, why did Big Mom even wait as long as the wedding to kill the Vince Smokes? She could have killed them off when they were on Whole Cake earlier and still had Streusen make her a cake. Thoughts? Well, okay, Stupid Flanders, that's a really stupid thing, because of course they're going to have a wedding. Like, why would you, Big Mom's all about the ceremony. Like, she wants the pomp and the circumstance.
The party is the part that she enjoys the most.
Yeah. Yeah, she wants the post-wedding party, and obviously, like the whole family thing. Like, yeah, even if she's going to kill them, she still wants to have it officially like part of the family, and that's in order to do that, you got to have the ceremony.
It's like a mafia type thing. It's like, well, we have to be family in order for this to be completely official.
Right. It's all about the ceremony. And let's see, why did the Vince Smokes even need to track down the real Sanji? I feel like that's Big Mom. I trust in Big Mom's capability enough for her to like know the difference to be able to suss out the difference between a real son and just some schmo. And yeah,
especially with her soul powers, you'd think, but
yeah, the clones don't have souls, so obviously,
mostly her connections, though.
Yeah.
Like Sanji, there's clearly a wanted poster with Sanji's face on it and his curly eyebrow. Like,
yeah.
They did know that Zeph has ties and like the whole Baratier thing too. So,
yeah. So getting towards the end here, let's see. Tremerlin says, I'm sure you've already speculated on what might have happened in that removed memory, but here I go anyway. Not only did Pudding kiss Sanji, but I also think her last request was to get married for real. After answering yes, Pudding says thank you and removes his memory. For me, this scene was very bittersweet that Pudding is still not liberated from Big Mom's control. This is also very different from any other arc since we don't actually see a resolution for all the side characters, which gives me hope that it will likely come later. And with Big Mom defeated at last, Pudding will be able to return the memory. Pretty long speculation, but I would love to hear what you think about this. Keep up the good work.
Well, she seems way too purely sad about it for there to be that hope, unless she thinks that Big Mom will ever be defeated, and it's never going to happen. But it seems more like she's actually just really sad that it doesn't, that this is it for them. That seems, it doesn't seem to be a bitter sweetness. It's just bitter.
Yeah, I don't know how likely it is, but I really like that idea that, at the end of Big Mom's story period, if that's at Elbaf, many of us are guessing, assuming that Pudding is playing a role in that she somehow kind of completes the gesture and gives it back to him. I think that would be a really sweet final note. But I'm also fine with it just kind of being. I'm fine with this being the end of Pudding's story period, if that's what it is. But I think that's a very cute idea too. Let's see, Zoika. Said, I can't seem to remember if anything was mentioned in the manga about how the crew in Whole Cake Island is going to get to Wano with the rest of the crew. Beaver card, log pose. Hoping you guys can help me out with this one.
I was trying to remember that, and I can't.
Yeah, was it directly say? I feel like he could probably say, "Oh, well, they made a Beaver card or something." If
they must have had a plan.
No, they all have Beaver cards from Dressrosa. They all have Beaver cards for each other, right?
No, they have Luffy's.
They have Luffy's.
They still have Rayleigh's?
They have Luffy's, and I think they might. What about Trafalgar's? They might have Laws, right?
I assume they had a way to get there. This is very planned out.
Yeah, I mean, clearly there are enough different, answers that we're throwing up off the top of our heads that he could use any one of them to serve as a rationale. I don't think that's going to be a plot point that they cannot somehow get to Wano. Or maybe there will be some surprise, like some ship captures them, or some giant turtle washes them up on the shore, something like that serves as an entry into the arc. But I don't
Foxy.
think that's going to. Yeah, Foxy's going to show up. I said, did you know I'm actually Japanese? I'm from Wano. All right, last one on Reddit comes from Ogru. What do you think became of Peckham's? Last we saw, he was about to get his eyes gouged out. I'm assuming the arrival of Germa stopped that from happening, but I doubt he was able to escape. You think the Straw Hats will get the heads of Peckham's, Pound, and our savior King D. Baum in the mail as a taste of Big Mom's retribution? I'm assuming Jinbei gets away.
King D.
I'm assuming
Baum
there's nothing. Also,
should-
there's nothing left of Pedro.
Yeah, that's true.
King D. Baum should be the official name. Do we have confirmation on that, Stephen?
Look, I can't, say anything about next week's chapter, so you just have to take my word for it.
2 weeks, yeah. Okay, is that it for Reddit?
That'll be it for Reddit.
All right, that's sorry I was quiet, but good, we have good trivia this week. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Let's move on to Ed.
Peace the tweet. Peace tweet time.
Cool.
First one comes from. Actually, this is a good time to ask this, but Sniper of My Heart asks, "Who is your favorite Charlotte sibling?"
I definitely asked this a while ago in the Piece Together segment, but if you guys have new answers,
Probably
Kind of
Curry.
Kind of curious,
I'll
Grace.
stick with Carter Curry right now.
Ah, man. I don't know.
Alex, you're still oven.
Yeah.
yeah, I may
Still.
also choose.
It's smooth. Yeah, I think Smoothie is up there, but despite not doing much for me.
The Ark of the Covenant.
I might actually go with Pudding, I think.
Mm.
My favorite.
Yeah, she's been good this week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Lola.
All right.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, she's still pretty great.
Yeah,
She's-
Chiffon's
yeah.
pretty good. Yeah.
Hey. Chiffon was great and should not be overlooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She really stepped
Sure.
up like big time.
The next one comes from J Sanch 94. It says, "Wouldn't it be great if Jinbei and the Sun Pirates made it to Wano before the Straw Hats?"
Just faster.
I really kind of hope that happens. I think that would be really funny.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Just waiting for him.
If Zoro were on the ship, that would make more sense instead of Nami. Yeah, but
God,
All right,
what kind of what horrible situation, what turn of events would have to happen for Zoro to be the last, it's like the last person in line for the presidency, that Zoro's the one manning the ship and telling them where to go. That'd be a nightmare.
Mm.
I think it's the designated survivor Straw Hat edition.
Yes.
Apologies for not getting to everyone's question this week. So if you don't ask it, you can try asking again. Takeo Jackson asks, "Have you guys noticed that this arc ended after 77 chapters and that both Sanji's bounties have 77 in them?"
I did not
That's
notice
pretty
that.
neat.
I thought it was 78. I guess it depends how you're counting.
That's true. I don't know. Anyway, moving on to the next one. William, our very own, asks, "So after all these years, the public needs to know, which member of the podcast is a co-op?"
It's a what?
Oh boy.
What?
You're
A
a
cop.
cop. It's,
Which one?
Oh, a cop.
Are you a fucking co-op?
It's a very old reference.
Oh wow, that's a. I wasn't even at the
Uh,
con for that one, but I know it.
Mm,
Oh
I think it has to be Zach.
yeah, Zach's a cop.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but yes.
Ah.
He's not a co-op. He's the law.
You have to
what
say
a
it. You have to
cop
tell
would
us if
say.
you're a cop.
That's the law.
All right, next one comes from said Regina, who says, "The end of Whole Cake Island felt a lot like The Last Jedi to me. First, the Sunny pulled a Luke and faked being hit by cannon fire. Then the arc ended
Wait.
with only
There's probably some spoilers for The Last Jedi in this question.
Spoilers?
been like 6
Statute-
months, right?
Yeah, statute of limitations has been
Okay,
listed for
fine.
The Last
Go,
Jedi.
I mean, I've watched it, but go ahead. Yeah.
First, the Sunny pulled a Luke and faked being hit by cannon fire. Then the arc ended with only one big success, getting Sanji back, and failure as the overall theme. Also
That's not
unresolved. Well, also unresolved questions and threads. Is Oda a Star Wars fan?
Well, he is
He
a Star
is.
Wars
He
fan.
is.
He
Yeah,
likes
yeah,
the prequels, doesn't he?
He also, yeah.
He also likes the prequel. Yeah, he's a big Star Wars fan. I feel like
wouldn't-
that's been mentioned a lot. Yeah.
I agree with the essential theme of Last Jedi being failure, yes, but I don't think that is the central theme of this arc, not by a long shot.
No, it was a sub theme.
Yeah, well, it's more like they can't beat an emperor, especially with
Yeah.
only half their crew.
Well,
Yeah.
that wasn't their goal either. Their goal
Really?
wasn't to beat her.
Goal was to get Sanji back, and that was
Got
really the
Sanji
only
back.
goal.
They got the
That-
poneglyph rubbings. They won.
And I think the Luffy had been like saying the entire arc, "I'm going to come back and kick your ass." Like,
Yes.
he's just promising Mom that. He didn't say, "I'm going to kick your ass." No, he says, "I'll come back and kick your ass." Like that's something important that he has been saying all arc long.
Yeah.
Next one comes from Fanboy Sins124. It says, "Hello, Dean OPP. Young Katakuri sounds like Luffy without the influence of Shanks, right? I just remembered those mountain bandits laughing at red hair Shanks.
Hmm.
Mm.
He's kind of like Crocodile that way. Like they shared the dream of being Pirate King. What Katakuri's sort of dream is in that way, if he even has one.
We don't really know if he has one. It might just
Eat
be
a lot
like,
of donuts all the time.
Donuts.
All right, next one comes from Dark Leviathan, who says, "Well, now that whole Cake Island is over, I want to suggest to Zach to do the episode of Buggy if it's not on the Patreon archived. This fits with Zach failing upwards. Also,
I don't understand this question.
also, I think we'll have the crew split in Wano, kind of like in Dressrosa.
Again? No,
They've been
God.
So like
Two arcs.
across the island, he means maybe. I don't
Does he mean the
No,
podcast crew?
No, they're split because there's all the crew and then there's Jinbei not there.
Yeah.
So that's how we're
Yeah.
split now.
Right.
No, I mean, I feel like we've done one and one. Like Dressrosa had half the crew for most of it, and Whole Cake had the other half of the crew, and now they're gonna come back together. Like I would be really super disappointed if he does this move again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, the next one comes from, and also Dark Leviathan has one more comment. It says that for those who complain about the cake having no bigger effect, the cake was so good that it took Mama some time to recover, unlike when Jinbei gave her the Croquembouche and she recovered right away. That alone gave enough time for Luffy to sail safe, which is really sort of echoed at the second to last page of this chapter, in my opinion, Ed's opinion, that she crashes down into the middle of the battlefield like. If she hadn't been slightly incapacitated, yeah, that wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have gotten away.
You know, Ed, you should talk in the third person more often.
Is Ed's opinion? Damn it!
Yeah, it's pretty presidential.
All right. Next one comes from 91 Ryan, who says, "I love how this chapter has two sides. One side has Sanji and Zeph making food for everyone, while the other side is bad for the Sun Pirates and Germa with Big Mom busting on the scene. You get that feeling like, oh no. I also feel very bad for Pudding."
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Otaku Rel says, "Well, here's another official death for the books."
Wow.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And finally, Quick Quest says, "Surprised that you didn't mention Morgan's vehicle having a James and the Giant Peach style of travel. #
Oh.
seagulls on strings."
Man, I haven't thought about that.
I didn't
like,
even
in a long
notice.
time.
Yeah, I haven't
that's
seen that movie. I loved it as a kid, and I haven't seen it since I was a kid. So.
Probably
Yeah.
haven't thought about it since third grade.
It's
Yeah,
still
I've only seen it
creepy.
once.
I watched it
Oh,
recently.
super
It is
creepy.
weird.
Oh, it's one of
Yeah.
those Henry Selick style stop motion deals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like a
Was it a-
combination.
It's done in
Was
Nightmare
that-
Before Christmas style.
Yeah, was that actually a Tim Burton movie or was
Yes. Tim Burton Disney.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
But no Henry Selick, which explains why it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so that's going to do it for Piece Together. We have a very special trivia round coming up, so stay tuned as we round off the show.
Oh wait, that was Henry Selick. Ah, fuck.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 516 for the week of Monday, April 23rd, 2018. We went through chapter 902, the end of the Whole Cake Island arc, and some piece together. And to celebrate the end of the Whole Cake Island arc, right after we all go through our plugs, we're going to do a very special, very different trivia round. Looking forward to that. So, before we go, Jill, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PiratessOnLuck. Feel free to talk to me anytime about One Piece or just random stuff, weather in California.
Steven.
You may follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus.
Dennis.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ichnob, ICHNOB. I talk a lot about Shonen Jump manga, archery, cosplay, all that stuff. And I do a podcast called the Vintage Anime Club Podcast, where I watch old school anime while drinking lots of wine and talking about it. And if you want super mega downers, we just talked about Grave of the Fireflies.
Which came out 30 years ago, right?
It did, yes.
Downer for several reasons now.
For several, and yeah, we picked that one before the sad news happened.
God.
So I was like, oh man, the worst kind of coincidence.
What, did you go back in time like almost 100 years?
Alex, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram at dude exclamation, all one word. Please listen also to the podcast that I do with Joey Weiser and Scott Dryman, Toho Yaro, a Japanese film club podcast. There's still time to participate in our first giveaway. If you listen to our latest episode about Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion starring Meiko Kaji, you could win a Meiko Kaji book, Unchained Melody, courtesy of Arrow Films and Joey Weiser, who is giving away the book. So check that out, please. And also Weeb Simpsons on Twitter. It's great.
So you hear.
I heard that it's a good account.
Anyway, Ed, how could the good people out there contact us?
You're Zach_Logan. I am Edward E. One Piece. The podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. You can leave us some piece together there. Please support us. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
Maji.
You're a little late, Jill. Sorry. Okay. So, you guys, I'm honored to have you all on for our last Whole Cake Island discussion. So, I figure let's do a little kind of review course here. So instead of doing our normal guess all the characters in so-and-so group like what we've been doing for the last few weeks.
That's what I thought you were going to do.
Yeah.
Guess every character in Whole Cake.
Every character in Whole Cake Island.
Alphabetically.
We're going to be here for 5 more hours. No,
Somebody get Jammer.
We're going to...
Hey guys, it's me. I'm here.
So we're going to instead be playing a very different Whole Cake Island game. These are all going to be numbered answers. That's going to be the first thing you're going to hear. The one who, if you get the number exactly correct, you will get 2 points. If you get the number closest, you will get 1 point. Got it?
Oh, actually, and we did have one suggestion that I didn't read from Piece the Tweet.
Oh, yeah. Can you actually read
segment
that?
title? It's Piece Me This.
Yeah, there was another one that said that had my name in it. I don't remember what it was. I saw it go by. And I like that one.
Remembers the tweet hashtag?
Like the Will of Zach or something. I don't know. It's whatever. I'll take anything.
Like a dog, Zach just responds to his name.
Now that you're done making fun of me, time for me to torture you guys.
Oh, that's never done.
So, for example, the amount of chapters in this arc were named in an earlier question. Can any of you guys remember what that number was? It's just an example.
That was the 77 or 78.
78, yeah.
I thought it was 556.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go around, so each person will have a chance to go first. I have, I guess I should have made this divisible by 4. I have 12 questions then that I will be asking you guys, okay? We're going to start with Steven is going to get first shot. If Steven doesn't, everyone will get a chance to guess. even if he's exactly whoever's exactly correct, I'll stop and just give that person 2 points. Ready? So the first question is, what was the first chapter of Whole Cake Island, according to the One Piece wiki?
Jesus. The first chapter of Whole Cake Island. Okay.
This is a number. Just say a number.
Yeah. Like 8:35.
Hold on, wait. Shouldn't I be going first? Because I didn't get to do any other pages in this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ed should be going last.
Okay.
Steven,
Right.
8:35?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not correct. Alex.
The first chapter of Whole Cake Island.
Yes, number
The number.
of the chapter.
The number of the chapter, right?
This could go
let me
fast
think
if you
here.
just say a number. Don't look this up, please, guys.
Is it?
Say a number, Alex.
You gotta go faster.
28. 328.
You think this?
28.
You think the?
28.
Okay.
It's a long arc.
Fuck you. I'm bad at math.
Dennis.
I-
You know what
I-
number this chapter was? It was 902. Dennis.
And that's his answer.
Can remember the number chapter. I'm gonna go with 825.
Ah, perfect. On the nose. 2 points for
Oh.
Dennis.
What the fuck? I was so close.
You said 328. Let me
Oh,
remind you again.
I meant 8. I meant 8. I meant 8, not 3.
It doesn't matter anyway. Dennis got it on
You
the
knew
nose.
what I meant.
All right,
care.
so
You knew what I
next one
meant.
we're going to start with Jill here.
I'm not that dumb.
Jill, I have a huge spreadsheet, and many people here may know I am obsessed with spreadsheets. This includes a list of the length of every single arc in One Piece. Arcs as, I believe, as defined by One Piece Wiki, or at least as defined by us as a podcast traditionally. Where does the Whole Cake Island rank in longest arcs? Just a number.
How many arcs are there? Just give me
That
like a
is
range.
a great question.
How
Here,
many
I'll
arcs
tell you.
is going to be the third question that Zach asked me?
So, no, I should have asked that. 29. So 1 through 29.
Oh.
Huh. Is one longest or one shortest?
One would be the good question. One would be the longest.
Okay.
So, Jill, I'm going to give you 3 seconds. We're going to go with that.
10.
Ed.
Third.
Steven.
This is for Whole Cake Island.
Whole Cake Island. Total
Second.
Land. Yep, exactly correct.
Oh.
2
Only
points
Dressrosa
for
was
Steven.
longer, huh?
Yep.
Only
Wow.
Dressrosa.
Really?
I was thinking maybe the war, but maybe it's split up between Impel Down and the war.
Now,
Yeah.
Alex,
Or-
you get first
Okay,
dibs
yeah,
at
yeah.
this.
That's
Oh,
what-
great.
okay.
Let me-
Piggybacking off of that, this is a percentage. Okay,
Oh, boy. Fuck
no one's
me.
gonna. So it's I'm gonna do rounded to the nearest digit.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Oh, we're not
so
going to
much.
decimals, Zach. Thank you.
No decimals.
The 10th.
Wow, how kind.
This is used off of the same Excel spreadsheet. What percent of is Whole Cake or Totoland, however you want to call it, Whole Cake Island, in chapters spent in the New World? So everything after Fishman Island, what percentage have we
wow.
spent in
Oh,
Whole
man.
Cake Island?
Jesus. Fuck me. Okay, let's see here. I'll say 33%.
Dennis?
Let's go with 27%.
Jill?
30%.
Ed?
31%.
Guys, Steven.
Whew.
We've got 33,
man,
27, 30, and 31.
28.
This is insane. The answer is 31.6. Alex gets it at 33.
Oh, yeah.
He gets it at 1 point, though, because
I don't
it
give
wasn't
a shit.
exactly.
I still get it.
He
I
gets
still
it.
get it. I don't care.
Ed
You said
gets,
you were rounding, though.
Yeah.
so it would be
That's-
32. No one hit exactly 32.
Oh,
Such a
Ed got
ridiculous
31.
question.
Steven and Alex. I know. I said these are going to be ridiculous.
That's an absolutely ridiculous question, though. Like,
Dennis, I know. I am very
That's
proud
good
of.
started
I'm
here.
so proud of how ridiculous it is. Dennis,
Okay.
the amount of named islands, according to One Piece Wiki, in Toto Land.
Oh, Jesus. I'm gonna go with 18.
Chill.
12.
Ed.
15.
Steven.
Wait, so this is in
Named islands.
total or ones that we know
Name.
that there are names of?
Total that we know there are names of.
Okay, all right.
Not that we don't, not including all those other. You know.
Right. Ooh, like 13?
And Alex.
someone say 11.
The winner for that one is Dennis. He is closest at 18. The answer is 20.
Wow.
Ooh.
Huh.
Next,
oh man, I'm gone.
next one. Again, we are rounding because this is a height. What is Big Mom's height? Jill, you're starting us.
In what?
In hours, in inches and feet.
In hours.
In hours.
The answer is
In
big. In her fucking name.
Please let someone else go first. I'm so
No,
bad
Jill.
at heights.
You could say anything. How would you know this? No one would know this. That's why this game is fun.
Oh man.
This is completely random.
32 feet.
Ed.
28 feet.
Again, this is rounding. Sorry, Steven.
Running up or down?
Rounding into whatever direction it's
Oh, okay. Gosh, I think 27 maybe?
Alex.
24 feet tall.
Dennis.
40 feet tall.
So, Ed, you're closest.
All right.
28 feet 10 inches. Steven got my hint, but not quite.
Yeah.
Wrong direction.
I thought it was 26 feet something. That's what I thought I remembered from the SBS thing.
This
but
is
I knew because giants are usually like feet tall, and she's a little more than half
40.
that.
Yeah.
Alex. You are getting our easiest question, I think, for the
Wow.
day because we had named an episode after this. What?
Wait, how is he going first again? when I
Because
haven't gone
it's
first
whoever. I'm sorry, Ed. You're the one who got that one, right? No, it's
Yeah.
just when you get it, the next person goes. That's
Oh,
how I'm
I
doing it.
see.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm sorry,
Okay.
Steven, you're getting the easiest one.
Oh,
sorry about
okay.
that. What is Bobbin's bounty?
Oh. It is 105,500,000 berries.
Correct. There you go. It's the easiest question we
Right.
got. Alex.
Robin,
I definitely would not have remembered that if we hadn't named the episode after it.
Yep.
Hey!
Alex, you're next here. This one's
Okay.
slightly harder, but not super hard.
Okay.
What is Katakuri's age?
Oh, fuck me.
No,
let's
that's
see.
not correct.
No, that's not my answer. That's not my answer. Katakuri. Let's see. Katakuri is. Let's see. So he's the second oldest.
You want to
and-
say a number here? That's the.
No. I know, and I'm thinking out loud. If he is the second oldest and Perispero is like 60, I want to say 55 years old.
Dennis.
51.
Jill.
57.
Ed.
47.
Steven.
58.
Ed is closest.
Hmm.
48. You are good, Ed. Ed is the best at just getting one off. It's kind of crazy. All
Oh,
right.
wait, maybe Perispero's 50.
Yeah, it sounds more like I didn't think he was that old.
Yeah, I didn't think he was that old either because Big Mom is 68.
Oh, that's why I was
Oh.
getting that wrong.
Why?
I think she is. That's off the top of my head. I'm not positive. This is going to make you want to shoot me, and there's a reason. Steven,
Oh, Zach. Already
Steven,
do.
what is the caliber of Pudding's gun?
Ooh, I actually.
Well, we'll see. I thought that was a
Oh,
clever
man.
pun too. Yeah, Steven.
Caliber of her gun. 37.
37.
In a row?
Thank you, Ed.
Alex.
That's where I was going. Me, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 88?
Dennis.
29.
Jill.
38.
Ed.
24.
Steven gets it. 36.
Oh.
What was the
Nice.
pun?
He said 37. I said you're going to want to shoot me after you hear this question.
I thought you meant like it was part of the...
Alex, you get to go first again. Including Big Mom, how many people are in the Charlotte family?
Including Big Mom.
Including Big Mom.
And husbands?
And husbands.
And
husbands,
husbands.
And
kids,
in-laws?
and big... No.
The number that they said in the story.
Oh, that I'm not 100% positive.
Or I don't know if it was in the story, but if it was in the SBS or something.
That I'm not, I literally added the number of husbands and kids and then +1.
Fuck, man. Let's see. So damn, dude.
I was hoping this would go quicker.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Are these the named characters, or are you just adding like
all.
Or are we filling in the
73?
Dennis.
I'm just gonna go with 108 for Suikoden.
Jill. Good.
128.
Ed.
130?
Steven.
117.
Okay, so 2 of you are tied. Each of you guessed. I'll give you both the point here. It is 129.
my
Jill
God.
said 128, and Ed said 130. So good job, both of you. I'll give you both.
Nice.
the
Wait,
points.
why did you guys laugh at me for my answer?
That's 73.
Yeah.
Well, you were the furthest off. I don't know if that's why they were laughing.
Well, yeah. Was it obvious though that I was so wrong?
I think
He
they
has like 80 something
Ed.
children.
Yeah.
I was thinking 36 for some reason.
all right.
He said that in the last question. I think you just got it on the brain now.
All right.
No.
So I have 2 more questions. All right, okay, I have a few more. How many more are you guys willing to do? I have 3 more questions. Do you want to do all
You
of them?
have
all
2
night,
more
baby.
questions.
Okay. All right, let's do this one. This is a great one. Ed, you're going to start us. How many years in a row did Big Mom give birth consistently? It's the most disgusting of the
Man.
questions I could have come up with.
Terrible
Gross.
question.
40.
40
Okay.
consecutive years.
Steven.
48.
Alex.
42.
You got it. On the nose.
Oh.
Whoa!
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Jackie Robinson.
I would have guessed lower.
2 more questions and then we're done.
Okay.
The 2 giants, Ja Rule and Joe Rule.
Ja Rule?
Ja Rule
Yes.
are 1 year apart. Name
Yarul.
Yarl
Not
or Yarl.
Ja Rule.
That's what we named the episode, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah.
All you have to do is
Fire
name.
Island.
All you have to do is name one of the ages. Okay. Sorry, who got that last one? It was Alex. So Dennis, you start.
In current age or like back then?
When they died, the age in which they
The
were
only
killed.
age we knew them.
The only age
Okay.
we knew them.
135.
Wait, I needed. I'm running out of index cards. 1 second.
Who's next?
You said 100 what?
135.
135? No. Jill.
233.
Ed.
249.
Steven.
318.
Alex.
This is how old they were when they died.
When they died.
320.
Our winner is Alex. The ages. You were all way under 344 and 345.
Whoa.
Old
Yeah,
guys.
because I was thinking that giants had the 300-year lifespan, so I was going under.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
they were very, very old.
They were
They were
very
old
old.
as hell.
That's why Big Mom, a 6-year-old, was so easily able to kill them. Last question. Last question. It's about my favorite character. Big news, Morgans, everyone, right? What was the first chapter of One Piece where we saw the World Economic Journal? The first, who got that? Sorry,
Ooh.
who got the last one? Alex got that. So
Yes,
Dennis,
I did.
you start.
Let's go with 115.
Jill.
Pretty sure I remember when it happened. I just
Yeah.
don't remember the exact chapter.
Yeah, that's how I.
I know exactly when it happened.
98.
Ed.
96.
On the nose.
Yes.
Fuck! Ah, damn it!
Were you gonna say 96?
I was in that ballpark.
Well, Alex, I'll give you the honor of
I
saying
would like
when
to
it
say
happens.
thank you to Grant on Twitter because I was just reading this
Yeah.
because of him.
Oh, Alex, you want to say when the situation?
Oh yeah, it's the chapter "The Meanest Man in the East." It's when Luffy's bounty comes out for the first time.
And Nami haggles with the news coup.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you guys were that it was assumed that any instance of a newspaper in the series must be that one. So I was going to say whatever it was, like 820 or so when they first heard about it in this arc as the name, the World Economic Journal.
Okay,
But,
so guys, we have a tie. This is the problem. And in last place, Jill got 1, Dennis got 3, Alex got 4, and tied at 5 are Ed and Steven. To break this tie, I'm going to have Ed, you're going to name the amount of daughters in the Charlotte family, and Steven, you're going to name the amount of sons in the Charlotte family. Ed,
Wow.
Oh boy.
daughters.
Your whole lives have been leading up to
me?
this moment.
Yeah.
All right, me first. All right, 56 daughters.
56 daughters. How many sons, Steven?
Well,
Am I going to have to do
I'm gonna
math?
I'm going to have to nail it in one because Ed's going to be one off of whatever the actual number is.
I'll tell you he's not.
I'm going to say 45.
Wow! One off, Steven. 46 sons. Ed, 39 daughters. Steven is our
Yeah,
winner.
Ed, you idiot.
Good episode today, you guys. That was a lot of fun. I hope that was a fun way to round off the Whole Cake Island arc with a 20-minute trivia.
Oh,
I mean,
numbers
that's
for brain hurt.
yeah. I mean, one long thing deserves another.
Yeah, I agree. So thank you, everyone.
Forget-
Well,
Zach, I bet you're in Super Randy making the questions for this. Oh, numbers. Oh, so
Flashcards.
let's do it during Piece Together. That's why I was so quiet. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk more about Whole Cake Island, but we're also going to go through Color Walk Wolf and a lot more. So join us then. Until next week, my name is Zach.
My name's Ed.
my name is Alex.
We'll see you then. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
I could do this, guys. Bye.
Trivia has broken Zach.
Excited that Brule is now best girl.
What was she to you before? I thought she was pretty high in the books for you.
She was Branch Girl.